used to get too sloppy. Things I showed you, I can't drop me. I've done it too high. It started in the hotel.
Commentary team, Zach and Nick.
It's always fraught with danger when we're having a chat going on air and we're getting ready to rock and roll, and Rob just jumps in out of the blue and says, "Good evening, everybody." And that's exactly what we'll say right now. Hi, everyone. Nice to have you company wherever you're tuning in all around the world as we bring you Friday Night Motorsport for the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, live, exclusive, dangerous and commercial-free on Do a Drift Esports. Zach Cabe, Nico Pop, Paul Nichols with you, as well as Robert Hazeldine, and we're looking forward to a big night of entertainment as we stay in America for the third time this week. We've completed the trek from the West Coast across to the East Coast. We started at Laguna Seca. We end at the world-famous Watkins Glen International in New York. Mustangs for the production car race tonight, and then, of course, the stock cars. The Mustangs on the full circuit over 5.42 kilometres, and the stock cars on the shortened Cup layout. Looking forward to that immensely. Paul Nichols, Nico Pop alongside me, both, of course, providing in-race comments during this race, and then Paul will join me in the booth for the stock car race while Nick goes and focuses on the task at hand. Gentlemen, good evening, welcome. Here we go again.
Good evening. Live and dangerous, apparently. I thought this was safer than real racing.
Not when we start talking, let's be honest. Good to have your company, Nick. How's your week been, mate?
It's been good. We've been getting a lot of races in. There was a lot of action the last couple of nights on, as obviously we broadcast on Wednesday, but then last night we had the V8s and the Super 2 development series as well as the open wheelers. So it was quite a good lot of racing over the last couple of weeks, like the last couple of nights.
Well, that's right, and this happens every week as well, folks. This is nothing new. It's a busy schedule for the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, no doubt about that. And we're starting to integrate into the real thing again as well. So we're juggling commitments from the real world stuff like Trent Lavis this weekend in Noosa, and then, of course, our sim racing commitments right across the week as well. Paul Nichols, good evening to you. Mustangs, Watkins Glen, going to be an interesting race, this one.
Absolutely. It's a 45-minute race. I calculated we'd probably need to pit around lap 14 and put around 10, 11 litres in the car to get home. 1.6 litres per lap, 1.65 litres per lap, somewhere around there. And the guys up the front, I'm probably 2.2 seconds quicker than me, so I thought I did a pretty good lap, but could be tyre pressures. I've got my car set up to last long, so let's see how it goes.
Indeed. Now, we'll get to the results when we get a chance later in the evening, folks, from the races that Nick mentioned off the top of the broadcast there, the supercars, the developments, and, of course, also the wings and slicks on a Thursday night. And then, of course, we'll tackle all things stock cars during this broadcast as well. But at the moment, the production car standings look like this. Michael Hammond, no surprise there, on top, 208 points. Playing Matt Stratford, 183, and Nick's in third on 166. Simon Ferris, 158. Rick Vincent, 151. Then Jackson Rayhana, 128. 123 for Josh Turner. 117 for Josh Millard. Paul Nichols is inside the top 10 as well. He's on 112, and Aaron Cooper on 105 points. You join us at the conclusion, of course, of this qualifying session, and we can tell you that Ben Collard, I should say, has pole position here from Peter Hunter, Michael Schreier, Matt Stratford, and Rick Vincent. No Michael Hammond on the grid tonight, so this championship fight is about to be thrown wide open. Joe Baldwin 6, Simon Ferris, Warwick Sharp, James Wilkins, and Tony DeRossi make up the top 10 in this order. Jackson Rayhana of note in 12th place, Jared Daly behind him, and Paul Nichols behind him. Jack Allisey's a new name that we need to talk about as well. He's sitting there in 11th. and Josh Thomas is 15th. Chris Polly 16th. Simon Ferris, Jason Brown, Matt Robinson, and Grant Gill. Then Anthony Visma, Corey Bourne, Jonathan Turner, Connor Brown, and Dylan Gray make up the 25 that have clocked a lap time. Brenton Hobson's out there at the moment, but he's not going to get back to the line in time to clock a competitive number, so it'll be him and Nick Burning from the stern here, and it'll be interesting to see how they fare. There's no doubt about that. This is going to be a good race.
I reckon Ben Snell will be in there, Chris Starkey as well, Declan Reinhardt. I reckon they'll all be racing. I'm not too sure about the final three names, but we'll see.
Standing start, 45 minutes now. We've done the maths. We've crunched the numbers. We believe that'll be about 22 laps once you include the scheduled pit stop that Paul Nichols was talking about there as well. Conditions, well, as you can see, it's realistic, a dynamic sky. 15th of May, once again, 10 past 9 in the morning, so that's a little bit unrealistic. The time doesn't quite add up to where it is at the moment, but that's okay. 22 degrees track temperature, 19 ambient, and cloudy conditions there. The race, as we said, 45 minutes. And the qualifying number, the pole time was 2:04.5, so we expect race pace to be a little bit this side, or the other side of that, the slower side of that. So Ben Collard and Peter Hunter, interesting front row there. Michael Schreier and Matt Stratford the second row. Rick Vincent and Joe Baldwin the third row. Then Simon Ferris, Warwick Sharp, James Wilkins and Tony De Rossi making up the top 10 here. If you had to put a bet on it, Paul, Nick, which way would you go?
That's a tough one. Well, geez, I don't know. Nick, your call.
Well, we're about to get a green. Hold on, sorry.
That's all right, we'll come back to you. Set for start on a Friday night, the doubleheader from the Glen. Let's go! Ben Collard jumped nicely. Peter Hunter went with him. And I'll wait for my director to send a director's cut through to me as well. I'm just watching the iRacing servers at the moment as they stream towards the first corner. Ben Collard, Peter Hunter and Michael Schreier are the field that leads them through here. Matt Stratford and Rick Vincent. And everybody somewhat safely away at the Glen. This circuit, of course, the long circuit. So we're talking, they call it 12 turns. If you wanted to check the call, it's probably 15, but that's okay. I think they count the boot as one, or the chicane at the halfway along the back straight as one corner instead of four. It's a series of right and left and right, but that's okay as they make their way into that bus stop section for the first time. Spinner! That is James Wilkins. In the grass, the ocular aerial shot shows and tells the story. He's about to visit the gravel and rejoin the circuit at the back of the field, and there's another car off with him. I'm not sure who that was, but Wilkins is going to get by and be second last as they come through there. Interesting to note that it's one fast repair tonight. Incident count penalties after 17, you'll get a penalty, and then after another 10, and every 10 thereafter. So keep an eye out for that. Already a couple of drivers racking up the points in the early laps here. 45-minute race, lap one thereof. And we've got stock cars on the other side of it as well for you to enjoy here, ladies and gentlemen. Nice, clean start for 97% of the field. Just Wilkins running into a bit of trouble. Oh no, trouble at the end of the back straight. Trouble at the end of the back straight. Matt Robinson involved. Might have been Jason Brown with him. I didn't see the other number. Robinson back in the field now. Just having a little bit of trouble picking up the number of the car alongside him there that was also involved. And now one of the other cars behind them on their own spinning.
I think it was Ben Snell that was the brightly coloured car.
So Benny Snell caught up in trouble early. Oh boy, so already 5 cars have found trouble on this opening lap here at the Glen. It's a good thing there's a lot of runoff area. Good thing that we can keep the race green. Rather than having the safety car come out and intervene. Michael Schreier leads this race after one lap. Trouble! Bang! Across the circuit. That's a big one. That is the 89, I think. Was that Jared Daly? Yeah, I'm not sure actually. I'm just struggling to pick up that number there. Who got bounced from pillar to post across the circuit?
That was me.
Oh, that was you, Nick. I could tell there was 1 9 there. I couldn't see the second. I thought it was an 8. So, no, that was you. Bounced across the circuit. And that's the problem. Using that exit, that extra runoff area coming out of turn 1 can often lead to that. We've seen it in stock cars as well. So already a fair rate of attrition here. You were right about Ben Snell. Peter Hunter also involved in an incident on the opening lap. Matt Robinson, James Wilkins, we already mentioned. Connor Brown caught up in some trouble as well. But the rest of the field somewhat safely away. I'm actually really surprised that they let Nick's incident go without sending the safety car out. But the quick reset, the fast repairs being burned very early by Nick there, who was burning from the stern. And it's backfired on this occasion. Schreier, Collard and Stratford, the top 3 out of the boot section for the second time. Round they come onto the main straight. Already a car into the pit lane. That might have been Ben Collard. It was. Ben Collard, an early stop here. Certainly unscheduled, you would think. Schreier leads from Stratford, Baldwin, Vincent, then Ferris. Rayhana, the big mover, from 12th to 6th in these opening few laps. Behind him is Warwick Sharp, then Tony De Rossi, then Josh Thomas, Brenton Hobson already up to 10th. Nico from 14th to 11th, trying to follow Hobson through. And as we alluded a short while ago, Nick's down getting the fast repair attended to. And he'll be down somewhere near the back of the field. Looks like it was Dylan Gray and Anthony Visma that were also caught up in that incident. They were the cars that were around you at that time.
Dylan ran wide at that turn. I was through and then he merged back on into my rear quarter panel spot.
There you go. So, again, I had a little bit of trouble picking up who was who there in the early stages, but once the timing screen updates, it makes it a little bit easier to piece the puzzle together. And and obviously with you spearing off, and Dylan Anthony Visma, as we say, caught up in that as well. So, as an innocent bystander. It's one of those things, Watkins Glen, it's always got that element of risk to it, even though there's plenty of runoff area. You can never be too certain what's going to play out here over the course of 45 minutes, as has been proven already in only 3 laps. Michael Schreier will bring the field back to the line. Stratford following him in close proximity. Brenton Hobson on a charge here at the moment. We're with, I believe, on board with Jackson Rayhana coming round onto the main straight now. And across the start-finish line he'll go. And he'll take another position, that time from Simon Ferris. So Rayhana into 5th. Rick Vincent is the next target for him. Michael Schreier still holding on by 1.3 seconds back to Matt Stratford at this point in time. Stratford, Baldwin, Vincent, Rayhana, Ferris, Sharp, De Rossi, Hobson and Thomas, the top 10. Paul Nichols sitting there in 11th at the moment, within striking distance. It's fair to say he's 1.5 seconds away from Josh Thomas at the moment, but he's let Brenton Hobson get away. The key was to go with Hobson. He was unable to do that at this point. We'll check back in with our in-race reporters in just a moment. Once things settle down here, onto that extended boot section of the circuit goes Jackson Rayhana. What a week it's been for him. Performed beyond expectation, I think it's fair to say, on Wednesday night. Had a great race there. Came back from a spin, an early spin in the up-and-comers. Just seeing a spinner behind him, actually. We'll try and pick up who that was. And he won that up-and-comers race in the end emphatically and comfortably. And then, of course, had a good showing in the TCR GT4 outing as well. Grabbed a late race second position, I think it was in the end, after a late race pit stop for one of the cars ahead of him. So reap the rewards of fuel saving all the way to the checkered flag. We're focusing on him at the moment because the Jackson Rayhana fan club is tuning in as per usual and loving every second of it. Good evening to the Rayhanas. And good evening, of course, to everyone that's tuning in via Do Drift Esports on Facebook and also Twitch and YouTube as well. Great to have the YouTube feed up and away. And we hope you'll take advantage of that and have a look at the catalogue of great racing that we've been able to present to you across the last 4 months. Rayhana wide at 1. They're all using the other side of the ripple strip there. At turn 1, they're taking a very NASCAR approach to turn 1. And getting away with it as well. If it was burning up their incident points, they wouldn't be doing it. So, Schreier, Stratford, Baldwin, Vincent, Rayhana, Ferris, Sharp. Jeez. Ferris was looking down the inside of Rayhana and unable to get the job done. Now, we should point out as well that the reason why we harp on incident points and the drivers are so hell-bent on getting 0 is because there are bonus points up for grabs if you have a clean race. We'll explain what that's all about a little bit later on. Paul Nichols, let's check in with you if we can. What's happened? Because you've dropped from you were 14th on the grid. You were 11th earlier. You've dropped down to 22nd. What happened?
Yeah, I actually made a mistake of my own and spun it. I had to wait for the whole field to go past. So, good race so far, but except for my own fault. But anyway, all good. We'll get going.
Good race, could be better, yes. Gotcha.
And Zach, just quickly, I just want to thank Christian Gray, who's he's tuned in from the American Mustang group. I've shared the stream to. He's pointed out I wrongfully posted that it was the 2014 Mustang. It's actually the S197 2005 to 2009. So thanks for that. I've just cleared that up on the post. I should know what I'm talking about when I post to the American Mustang group, because they will be very quick to tell me I'm wrong. You see. And
this is the thing. You are the Mustang aficionado of Ipswich, so you should know.
I've also been awake for about 13 minutes. So
that's fair too.
So
that's
I
fair too.
apologise for the error on that.
It's almost like you're running on American time for this broadcast. Very good. Michael Schreier and Matt Stratford, Joe Baldwin, Rick Vincent and Jackson Rayhana, the top 5. Brenton Hobson's charged through to 6th, and now he's right on Rayhana here. This is the battle we want to watch now. 5th v 6th. Rayhana will try to hold his own against Hobson here as they charge down the back straight. Hobson to the inside, and job done. He made it look easy. Rayhana just let him go. He said, you lead, I'll follow. Rayhana slides back into 6th position as Hobson enters the top 5. We are only on lap 6 of the car race. Schreier the leader, Stratford, Baldwin, Vincent, then Hobson and Rayhana, and Hobson on a charge. Do not rule this guy out. They're only 8.4 seconds away from Michael Schreier. That'll disappear very quickly. The way Hobson manages to just sit behind the wheel and switch on instantly and be on the pace, that gap will not take long to disappear. Stratford sitting there in 2nd position at the actually I think he's dropped I'll have a look here. I'm just trying to figure out whether he's dropped. No, he's still 2nd, and Joe Baldwin is there as well, giving him a hurry up. So we'll have a look at that lead battle in just a moment, because Michael Schreier's under pressure. But Jackson Rayhana at the moment is our focus with Brenton Hobson. We're watching Hobbo. The next target there is Rick Vincent. You just saw him go through the second last corner. Turn 11. Now the run up to turn 12. And I'm going off what they label it, not what we label it, ladies and gentlemen. If we were to label that, it'd be turn 15, because the bus stop would get 4 corner numbers on it with the right, left, right. But let's have that debate another day. So we're watching. We're going to watch Paul Nichols charge back through the field after pitting early. We'll watch Nick try and recover after his second lap incident there with Dylan Gray. Top 15 and no incident points was Nick's aim before the race. He can still get the top 15, but the incident points out the window. And there he is now. Well, this is right. Being third in the... Actually, you'd have to be happy with being third in the standings coming into this round.
Well, that's why I want the bonus points.
Yeah, fair enough too. And obviously, Hammer not being on the grid is a big help for you guys tonight.
Yeah, who's second in the champ?
Let me have a look.
Snelly or someone?
I just got to go from tab to tab. It's Matt Stratford, actually, who's second in the motor race at the moment. So
he's going to score well.
He is going to score well, and he should inherit the lead of the championship if he stays where he's at. There will be a scheduled pit stop here, folks. We're just not sure when for these drivers. Simon Ferris is on the screen at the moment. Lap traffic just moving to one side. Warwick Sharp following him through. Trey leads by half a second. Joe Baldwin then 1.8 seconds behind the race leader. So the top three were worth watching at the moment. Ray Harner also worth watching because he's doing a good job to fend off the pressure from Simon Ferris and Warwick Sharp. Josh Thomas in behind them. Not immediately behind, second car behind at this point. Lap traffic already playing a role here. So Dylan Gray and Craig Pott a lap down. Another lap across the line we go. Half an hour to go in this race. 14 and 3/4 minutes by the line that time by. Now, as we say, on our numbers, 22 laps. You won't get any change from 22. You won't get an extra. You won't get a 23rd is what I'll say. You might get change. You might get 21. We might fall one short if we were to get a safety car or pit stops were to take too long or whatever the case may be. But based on our number crunching and lead up to race start, we based it on the 204s that they were clocking in qualifying, and we said 204 gets you to 44 minutes and 48 seconds. That gives you 12 seconds for your pit stop, so obviously you're going overtime there. So anytime they get back to the line before the 45-minute mark will get us an extra lap, but if they were to get back up to the line after the 45-minute mark, the checkered flag will fly. That's how it works on a Friday night. Gentlemen Sim Racing Club, Georgia Drift Esports, Central Coast Subaru, Rockulera and LJ Hook at Gaindar. Thank you to those great organisations for their ongoing support. A reminder, we've got the stock cars from this same circuit, although albeit the shorter configuration on the other side of this production car race. Rob?
We've been told, we just got told in the Facebook chat by Ray that it's actually 5 a.m. in the US. So thanks for everyone in the US who's tuned in nice and early. I hope you got a nice pot of coffee going. It's always great to have you guys on board. And if I say any other wrong information tonight, please let me know. But
that was why I made the reference to you operating on American time, because you've only just woken up. Being 5 a.m, that makes it about right. But of course, it's 5 a.m. on the East Coast and 2 a.m. on the West Coast over there at the moment. So, as you know, I'm a big believer in the old knowing the time zones and that sort of stuff. So I try and be across all that.
Very soon, you're going to get to point out the US time zones and also the Queensland time zone, being the correct time zone in Australia, and then the New South Wales time zone.
It's too early in the night to get me started, Hazelrun. Fair dinkum.
All right, I'll leave you to it then, Zach.
Yeah, leave me to it. We'll get back to that about 10 o'clock, all right? 17 minutes gone in this race. They always like to serve me up on a Friday night. I'm looking forward, actually, on that note, I'm looking forward to seeing what Chris Whittaker's up to tonight. What's his livery? I haven't heard anything from him this week, so I'm a little bit concerned, and I should be too, knowing his previous form. Michael Schrayer, Matt Stratford, and Joe Baldwin, the top three. You're watching Jackson Ray Harner on screen at the moment. We've got a few battles playing out, particularly the battle for the lead. If we can switch there for a moment, it's worth having a look at Michael Schrayer, Matt Stratford, and Joe Baldwin here as Ray Harner goes through on some lap traffic there. Have a look at this first, second and third, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing in it. 1.2 seconds separated the top three last time by the line. Michael Schreier, Matt Stratford, Joe Baldwin. Rick Vincent is of course about 5 seconds down the road. He's under pressure from Brenton Hobson right now. Blake Harner's got Simon Ferris at bay. Warwick Sharp's putting pressure on Ferris. There's battles everywhere you look in the top 10, and now here's a move for the lead. Stratford down the inside of Michael Schreier, and job done. First lead change of the night, and Stratford gets through. He gets the job done. That puts Schreier immediately under pressure from Joe Baldwin. The ocular shot shows and tells the story, and Baldwin goes through to second. Stratford is the leader, and Michael Schreier's been he's been Robbins racing and put into the grass and left behind, and he will have to settle into third place. We knew as soon as the cobwebs were blown out, the floodgates were open, it was going to be on, and unfortunately there had to be a loser in that, and it was Michael Schreier. He's come into the pit lane. So Schreier into the pits. Developing story here. Stratford leads Baldwin by 1.1. You didn't see the end of that move from Baldwin on Schreier, but he got hung out to dry. They ran out of real estate. That put him in the grass. I think he clipped the wall, and I think that's why he's called quits on that opening stint and into the pit lane. Jesus. It's on for young and old here early on a Friday night. There's battles on track, there's battles in the commentary box, there's battles everywhere you look, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not disappointing you, I hope. You're getting your money's worth here live, dangerous and commercial free, as I say. Now, let's check in with our in-race reporters, Paul Nichols and Nico Pop. Nick, sitting down in 27th at the moment. It's a hard slog from there, mate.
Yeah, I've got left hand down by about 30 degrees as well, so I'm just trying my best. I've done I've done 2:05.9, so I'm pretty happy with my pace. Not happy about the car, but whatever. I'm going to try and salvage as many points as I can.
Fair enough. And Paul Nichols, you're trying to fight your way back through after your pit stop, sitting 22nd still.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as Nick, really, just trying to find my way back after making a mistake on my own, and just try and salvage some points and sustain the top 10 for the championship. So at the moment, it's going okay. I don't think I've had any incident points except from my own spin, so yeah, so
well, I would argue that you're in a very different boat to what Nick's in, because you made your mistake on your own, whereas Nick was cleaned up.
Yeah, true. Correct.
All right, but
I suppose Nick would be a little bit unhappier than I am, because you make a mistake, you go, you oh well, my mistake. Deal with it. But when someone makes a mistake in front of you, you're kind of a little bit frustrating. But anyway, we'll get on with it.
But the premise is still the same, and that's that you're trying to fight back and redeem yourself. Now, Ben Snell's sitting in our broadcast green room already, so I assume that he wants to come in and have a chat, and I'm just trying to figure out why.
He had that early crash. He was in that bright coloured car, I believe, that you couldn't identify.
Yeah, and he's sitting 19th at the moment, so he's still in the race. But if someone wants to bring him in and have a chat, we'll have a chat to him, no worries.
He's not there any... Oh, there he is. Good to see.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard to do when you're driving.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, that's why we need to work out the old admin tricks here as well, but we'll work on that. There's Ben Snell on your screen, so he was caught up in an early incident, and we'll get his view on that in just a moment.
3 in race reporters.
Yeah, why not? The more the merrier. Makes my job easier. Let's run you through the running order as we stand, ladies and gentlemen. Stratford's got Baldwin covered by 1 second. They've got 3 seconds back to Brenton Hobson. So 4.7 separates first and third, and Hobson charging. I'll be interested to see what the gap is at the end of this next lap, and see just how much Hobson can take out of Baldwin and Stratford as we go here. Now, we've got Benny Snell in the commentary box at the moment, but he's on mute, so I'll wait for that to come off mute, and I might bring him into the discussion, because we're just watching him at the moment work his way around into the boot section of the circuit, fighting his way back through after, as we say, that early race incident that Nick correctly pointed up, and I had no hope in hell of picking up, we should point out. And he's sitting down there in position number 17 at this point. Matt Robinson, the next target, 3 seconds up the road. So Snell's pace is certainly there, but unfortunately he's just got caught up in an early race incident that's put him wrong place, wrong time, and it's kind of put the race on ice, if you know what I mean. Put results aspirations out the window. But we'll check in with Benny Snell soon and see what's going on there. 23 minutes 10 seconds last time by the line. We mentioned that it was 4.7 between Stratford and Hobson. It's now 4.4. Keeping our eyes on that. There's Joe Baldwin on your screen. Matt Stratford ahead of him. There is, of course, Brenton Hobson coming out behind them. So you'll just pick up as they come over the rise here. Brenton Hobson will be the next car through at the back of your screen. There he is. That's the gap we're playing with, folks. It's exciting. It's a three-way fight, and there's still pit stops to come for these guys. Should point out on the subject of pit stops, Michael Schreier, after having that incident with Joe Baldwin early, a few minutes ago, he's dropped down to 13th upon exiting the pit lanes, so he's rejoined the race there. And as we say, still a lot of pit stops to play out. Just noticing Paul Nichols has dropped down to 23rd there. Nick's moved up to 26th position. Connor Brown, Anthony Visma, Dylan Gray, Peter Hunter still all one lap down. Craig Body's 4 laps down, but I'm not sure if he's still in the race at this point in time. Now, there's Brenton Hobson. No, sorry. I'm just looking at 2 different screens here, folks. I'm just trying to pick up who we've got. We've got the 154 on our screen there now. That's, of course, Jonathan Turner. So Grant Gill and also Michael Schreier. So Michael Schreier is who we've picked up there. He's come out of the pit lane. He's come back past Jonathan Turner there. So that will put him into position number 12. So Michael Schreier on the charge back through the field. As we say, a lot of guys still have to complete a pit stop. We're at that critical point where drivers will be thinking about it, splitting the race into 2 parts, getting home. Some will go longer. Nick, obviously, we know his strategy. He goes as far into the tank as he can, splash and dash, and then go. So Brenton Hobson leads Rick Vincent and Matt Stratford. Now, that's interesting because obviously Stratford and Baldwin have come into the lane, and Brenton Hobson has inherited the lead as a result of that. Rick Vincent second, Matt Stratford, Joe Baldwin, Simon Ferris, Warwick Sharp, Josh Thomas, Jackson Rayhana, Jack Allisey, Michael Schreier and Jonathan Turner, the top 10s. The top 11. So Schreier into the top 10 now. Gained 3 positions on that last lap. How good's this for a Friday night, folks? Mustangs around the Glen. It's an all-American flavour tonight, quite literally, because we've got the Mustangs and the stock cars. 2 of America's favourites from Watkins Glen in New York. On the weekend where we would normally be talking about stock cars in the real world at the Glen, because
Worked out well.
Yeah, it worked out well in terms of the schedule, because normally it is the second road race of the season, but unfortunately this year we don't get Watkins Glen. Instead, the exciting prospect of NASCAR road racing on the Daytona Roval, which is coming up on Monday morning, and you will see it live on Fox Sports here in Australia straight after Fast 9 qualifying for the Indy 500 at 5 a.m. Big weekend of motorsport. I'll run you through everything that's happening in the real world as well as what we're doing here at the end of the broadcast. Formula 1 practice underway, so we'll get a practice 1 result for you at the end of this world.
Londo's already hit the wall in practice 1.
In the IndyCar, yes, absolutely. Saw that this morning.
Here's the canoe.
Scott Dixon was fastest this morning as well, from what I've read. So There's the 015. That's, of course, James Wilkins. That's Tony De Rossi that he's fighting with at the moment. They're fighting over 19th and 20th, it's important to note. 27 minutes, 25 seconds into the race last time by the line for Brenton Hobson. 4.8 seconds clear of Rick Vincent, Warwick Sharp, Josh Thomas, Simon Ferris. The next one's through, then Matt Stratford and Joe Baldwin, then Michael Schreier. Now, interesting to note that Michael Schreier is only 1.9 seconds off Joe Baldwin. So Stratford and Baldwin have had a win there because they've come out ahead of Schreier, which is who they were fighting with before that round of pit stops. Excuse me. So lots to be excited about here. Lots to still play out in the remaining 16 minutes of this race. Wilkins, De Rossi looking to send it into one and can't do it just yet. Wilkins wide on the exit of one. De Rossi looking up the inside, side by side on the way into two. A little bit of a touch. De Rossi gives Wilkins the hurry up in a big way. And Wilkins pulls about 2 car lengths as a result, but De Rossi is right there. So this is the battle for 18th and 19th now. Chris Polly in behind them, rounding out the top 20. 2 car lengths separating 18th and 19th, and a good dice here. Through the bus stop. De Rossi too quick through there. He's smashed into the back of James Wilkins, who's cut the corner, but still managed to hold the spot. De Rossi sweeps around the outside, and that'll put him on the inside as they head into the boot. So De Rossi eventually gets the spot.
Hobson just heading it in.
Be interesting to see how race control views that when reviewing this race. As you just heard Nick chime in there and say, it is Brenton Hobson in the pit lane from the race lead. Rick Vincent inherits that position right now. 29.45 gone in the car race, as Hobson pits from the lead. So we're just over 15 minutes to go. So that's 7 laps, maybe an 8th coming our way. I do believe that we can get 8, depending upon how long Hobson's pit stop is. But it will be touch and go. 22 laps was the projected total we were meant to get tonight. Jackson, Ray Harder and Simon Ferris still fighting, this time over 8th and 9th position. Ray Harder giving him the big hurry up. And they're actually a fair way down in this fight. They're heading through into the bus stop. And then, of course, the outer loop. Rayhana trying to set up a move here. Can he find a way by Simon Ferris? Not yet. Ferris is driving a nice race. There's no doubt about that. Into turn 9 on the run up to turn 10. Actually, make that turn 8 on the run to turn 9, I should say. Here's Rayhana on Ferris. Can't get the job done. Closes in very tight. Ferris gets a nice run out of there and holds the spot. Cracking motor race here, no doubt about that. Stratford has pulled away from Baldwin and Schreier. Stratford in the box seat here to grab a podium finish in the back stages of this race. Rick Vincent has completed his pit stop now. Stratford now leads the race. Hobson is 3.1 behind him. Then Joe Baldwin and Michael Schreier. So interesting to note, Stratford's pulled away to 8 seconds over Baldwin and Schreier is now back on Baldwin's tail. Rayhana and Ferris still going hammer and tong, 0.6 of a second separating them. So not much. Not much separating that still. But really good to see some good tussles right throughout the top 10. There's the battle for third. There's the battle for sixth. There's the battle for
23rd.
11th. Yes, 23rd as well. And we'll get to that shortly. Trouble. You saw a car go into the wall there on the run into turn 7.
Not the A&W root beer car. That's my favourite root beer.
Expert comments from Robert Hazeldine tonight, as per usual, ladies and gentlemen. Great to have him on board. Yes, Paul Nichols, what's happened?
I put it into the wall on my own.
Again?
And decided to park it up and grab a beverage.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Why not?
Because we just noticed that you dropped down to 29th in the order, so I assumed that that was happening.
Is that beverage a cool and frosty A&W root beer by any chance?
Incorrect. No.
Getting paid by the mention.
No, it's not. It's a nice glass of 7 on block.
Right, let's just straighten up here with about 12 minutes to go on the car race. Ray Hahn is still putting the pressure on Simon Ferris here. Closing stages in the final third of the race. 34-12 gone. Matt Stratford leading. Just 7 seconds separates the top 4 at the moment. Rayhana under pressure here from Snell down the inside, and Snell moving into position number 7 now. Benny's on the fight back, doing nicely. Rayhana a little bit wide through 1. Tucks it behind Snell, whose next target is Simon Ferris. So Ben Snell's right in the mix here. He's doing well to concentrate because he's now got me in his ear, because he was in the green room, so we brought him into the commentary box, but we haven't spoken to him yet because he's still got his microphone on mute. He'll be the first person we chat to post-race, ladies and gentlemen. The publisher, Ben Snell, the pride of South Australia on the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, the Do Drift Esports Friday Night Motorsport from the Glen. Rayhana sitting back there in position number 8 now, behind Ben Snell, whose next target you can see is already right there on the tail of Simon Ferris and setting himself up nicely, but he's put himself on the outside for the shoot here at turn 6 or 7 as it is, and he's now got the job done. So Snell moves into position number 6. He was 8th at the start of the lap. He's ticked off Rayhana, he's ticked off Ferris. His next target is 5 seconds up the road in Rick Vincent, and he's going to have about 5 laps to get there. You'd back him to do it too. Very nice piece of driving. So Rayhana under brakes. Still the battle resumes between Ferris and Rayhana. Rayhana has been clawing at the heels of Ferris for the last few laps, with the exception of that little interruption from Benny Snell there. This battle is now clear to resume and continue right through to the end of the race, and I suspect it will. Nothing separated these two for much of the night. They got through their pit stop sequence, they got out, and everything's going to plan. And what is the battle for 7th and 8th in this race? Ben Snell gained 2 positions on that lap. His next target is Rick Vincent. Don't rule that out. That is doable. 5 seconds, 4.7 if you want to be precise. 36.17 last time by the line for Matt Stratford, so on those numbers, you squeeze 5 laps more out of this race, so we will get to 22 by the skin of our teeth. Stratford is holding on by 1.8 over Brenton Hobson. My gee, that's going to be a tight tussle right at the end, isn't it? Stratford doing a tremendous job. Hobson right there. That's the battle on your screen now. You're looking at it. 1st and 2nd. Stratford in the 49. Hobson in the 33. 1.8 seconds. Hobson, the hard charger from 26 to 2nd. To sit there right now, Joe Baldwin in behind them, but the margin back to Baldwin is 7 seconds. He's done a great job to fend off Michael Schreier for this long. It's 0.6 of a second separating them. Rick Vincent's going to be under pressure from Ben Snell by the end of this race, you would suspect. Vincent couldn't take a trick the other night in the up-and-comers race. He got battered from pillar to post. But he's having a much cleaner, much friendlier run tonight. Oh, are we back on root beer again, for Christ's sake?
Well, no, it's something that goes great with it is Doritos.
Oh,
Okay.
I thought it might have been those chili peanuts you ate.
Oh, you saw that
Doritos
video?
car in the
You
race.
saw the
Yeah.
video. They thought I couldn't handle a few spicy chili peanuts in Texas, and I showed them they were wrong. They got to bring their A game next time if they want to try and beat me.
I did see you sweat a bit.
Oh, I did feel like I was going to die. But you can't show any fear. That's the aim of the game. You gotta keep it cool.
Especially in Texas, as big as Texas, you can't show fear.
Well, all I've done is encourage them to get something hotter next time I'm there. So it probably wasn't a good idea. I should have probably just bowed out.
Which at this stage will be 2030, the way the world's going.
Yeah, so that's bought me a bit of time to prepare myself.
Absolutely right.
Conditioning.
Exactly.
And if the people from the Root Beer organisation or Doritos are listening, Rob's chasing sponsorship for Doer Drift Esports Motorsport broadcast.
I'll even take Dr. Pepper. I love Dr. Pepper. If you're out there.
Do you?
Oh, I do.
No, you've lost me there. Fair dinkum.
You'll pass.
Dr. Pepper is our family doctor. Kelly will tell you that. Oh, crash.
Ah, spinner!
Oh,
That's one of the back markers there, I do believe.
Peter Hunter.
Hunter not getting in the way of Stratford there, which is good. Nick's got through clean and unscathed, but he's the next one about to be lapped by Stratford. And of course behind him is Hobson. Hobson closed the gap to 1.1 seconds, but he's not close enough to have a crack just yet. Is there a sting in the tail in this race, or is Matt Stratford about to grab another win in this production car series? Only time will tell. Lots to be excited about here on a Friday night. Nick moves out of the way, doesn't impede the battle. Could have done us a favour and spiced it up a little bit, but no, he played the gentlemanly card. Well done. And make their way out of turn 9 into 10.
Hey, I'm on TV.
Stratford running a great race here.
Hi, Mum.
And then Hobson charging from the rear to be within striking distance. He's going to be so close, it's not even funny in these closing 3 laps, and that's what we've got left, folks. Back to the line. Lap 19 is in the books. Stratford leads. Hobson very close to the wall on the exit of 11.
Zach, I've been watching Hobson's times, and he's shaved off about an entire second in the last lap.
And he lost 2 tenths by the line. So he lost 2 tenths in that last sector, Rob. Stratford's gapped him. It's gone from 1.1 to 1.3. We've got 4.5 minutes to go. I think Stratford's going to do enough to hold on here at this point.
Interesting to see if Hobbo gets some draft down the straight here. I don't know if he's close enough, actually.
Nowhere near close enough, Paul. He's got about 7 car lengths behind. So he's not going to get any draft out of that, I wouldn't assume. They've gapped Nick, though. Nick wasn't able to go with them. Now, looking at Stratford...
Same fuel.
Yeah. He of course won the round in Montreal, Canada, and then he had a did not race in round 4. So this is a big moment for him if he can convert here and put Michael Hammond back to second in the points race. And of course, don't forget Hobson. He hasn't been a regular on this grid, but he's made his presence known when he has been on the grid. And he's got 2.5 laps as they go through the chute one more time to get close enough to have a crack at Stratford on the run home.
Certainly
Great race.
He's gained a bit of time, definitely.
Cracking contest.
Just
Should get the draft at about 1.5.
Quick look back here at Corey Burns. They're extremely close. I've been watching them on the timing.
They're extremely close, all right? They were lucky not to be in the side of one of them going into the bus stop there.
I'll flick back to Hobbo in a second, but I thought it would be a good opportunity to show some of this other
good opportunity to have a look at Corey Bourne and also Jared Daly there in behind him. So 0.6 of a second separating them in that fight in favour of Bourne.
Hobbo's got a bit of time here on Stratford. I think he might have caught up maybe. He's not too far behind. It would be interesting to see what the time's up on past the time.
He's 1.2 seconds behind now. Full time out.
Interesting to note too, in the battle for 8th that we're looking at with the Simon Ferris and Jackson Rayhana, or I should say 7th, 1.6 seconds now the advantage from Simon Ferris back to Jackson Rayhana. So Ferris has done enough to gap Rayhana there, I think, for this point in time. Baldwin, Schreier. 0.6 of a second there. So there's battles all around the place at the moment. The gap first to second is 1.1.
Joe Baldwin's had an awesome. He was off for about 6 months from iRacing and moved to WA. So he's really stepped up his game.
Stratford and Hobson. Yeah, you're right about Baldwin. And we're noticing that throughout the course of the season, aren't we, Nico? There are some drivers who've just come on leaps and bounds. Stratford, he was in the grass on the run out of the bus stop.
Did well. Hang on to that.
He did exceptionally well. Did very well because that could have brought Hobson right back into the fight. He's still going to have a sniff on this last lap. He's now within about 3 car lengths.
And we have traffic ahead, so let's see what happens there.
That little costly error going through the bus stop could be all that Stratford needed to bring Hobson back into the race. Could be all Hobson needed to maybe have a sniff. This is the penultimate lap. Stratford and Hobson, 1 and 2. Baldwin is 3rd. And Schreier is 4th and right on his tail. So we'll try and have a look at that battle in the closing stages as well. But we need to stick with this because look at how close Hobson is now. Stratford has to do all he can to keep Hobson at bay. That Mustang needs to become as wide as it possibly can. But I don't think it's going to be wide enough in this last lap and a quarter. They'll come back to the line. They'll get the white flag and we'll be 1 lap from home. Through turn 11, the run to turn 12. Hobson's all over him. Does he have a look going into turn 12? No, he can't, not yet. But he's right there. Watch him going into 1. Main straight up on us last time. White flag in the air. 1 to go at the Glen. And now, Stratford was flying ultra defensive, but not defensive enough, and Hobson down the inside. Job done. He's a little bit wide through 1. Not in front. Stratford back up on the inside. Let him go side by side. No. Hobson manages to get the line covered through into turn 2, and Hobson has the lead from 26th on the grid in 45 minutes. What a drive this has been in the Mustang.
Should have said he missed a gear.
And that's all it takes, isn't it?
Australia will have the run though. I don't know if we'll be able to do through the bus stop here. Oh, he's fine.
Well, you're going to have a look. No. It was always going to be too tough a call going into the bus stop. The last chance, though, will be probably going into turn 10 rather than turn 12.
Definitely needs to set himself up for it. I thought it's got a bit of a gap, though, so I don't know if he's got enough. Whoa.
It's so tight. Hobson will do everything he can to play ultra defensive here, but Stratford will do everything he can to redeem the error of the last lap. Oh, have a look at that. He wanted to send it, but that might compromise his run out of 9 on the run to 10. So here we go. Who gets the job done from here? And it's important to note that there's a three-way fight going on for 3rd that we need to get to in a moment because Ben Snell's got through on Michael Schreier. But we'll watch these guys come across the line first. I think Hobson's done enough now to hold on here.
Definitely, he's got enough gap there. I think it's pretty hard for Matt to try and get back from there.
2 corners to go, and incredibly hard for Stratford to get the run out of 11 into 12. Not often you see the passing manoeuvre made here, and Hobson does the right thing and defends on the inside. Round the outside, Stratford wanted to try and get the job done, but couldn't, and Hobson goes from the rear to the front of the Glen in a photo finish. Have a look at that! Hobson by 0.05 of a second. It doesn't get any tighter on a Friday night. What a cracking race. Joe Baldwin's going to come home in 3rd. Michael Schreier's lost out to Ben Snell. And that means that Snell gets 4th and Schreier 5th. Rick Vincent in for 6th. Simon Ferris holds off Jackson Rayhana. Warwick Sharp and Gerard Daly make up the top 10. And now they can have some fun with it as Simon Ferris does there on the inside. Brenton Hobson by 0.05. And have a look at the margin also. Only 0.2 of a second between Joe Baldwin and Benny Snell. They were side by side at the line as well. Cracking race on a Friday night. We knew it would be a good one. It always is when it's a single car race. It comes down to driver ability and strategy and a few other things, Nico. But the Mustang, well, what it might lack in pace per se, it always makes up for in entertainment.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one of those cars that it's very. I mean, if you have to drive these cars, very. I don't know. One of the cars that I love driving, but you put the rear wheels on the grass, you're going to stick it in the bin, which I did tonight. But yeah, the guys that have a handle on this car, how close that finish was fantastic.
What you're seeing there, ladies and gentlemen, is probably the best burnout celebration from a man that finished in 8th that you'll ever see in the history of iRacing. That is Jackson Rayhana just lighting it up and causing a smoke storm on the main straight there at turn 1. To give you an indication, because I can see the broadcast feed from turn 1 there from the iRacing server, you literally couldn't see for the smoke that was billowing off those tyres. What a great race that was. Really good stuff. Joe Baldwin, congratulations to you, mate. 3rd place, the first man to join us in the chat room. We'll get Benny Snell to unmute his microphone in a moment as well. That has to be a confidence-boosting result for you, mate, because we were talking in the broadcast there about how you've just continued to improve inch by inch, and now you've got yourself a podium on a Friday night.
Only one thing to say, man. Woohoo! What a run.
Well done, mate. I was just saying during the broadcast, mate, that's an awesome job. Well done.
Yeah, cheers. Australia and I, at the start, we just bit of fuel strategy and just head down, bum up, and went for it. I think I got into Michael there about lap 9. I just called and apologised to him. It was completely unintentional. I didn't mean to get him, but he come back and he gave me carry there the last few laps. Hats off to him. That was so much fun, and yeah, Ben certainly got my attention there right at the end.
Well, he certainly got everyone's attention because he ended up getting back by Michael there in the run to the line as well, and he was within 2 inches of you there at the checkered flag. Cracking race. Talk to me about the intensity of that battle, Joe, because for the most part of the night we were watching you on with Matt Stratford. He eventually got away from you, and then you had your mirrors full of both Shreya and then later Benny as well.
Yeah, I did. I made a mistake in the pit stop. I come in and I was that worried about not speeding in the pits because these don't have limiters. And I grabbed a box full of neutrals and just couldn't get a gear. And so I dropped about 4 seconds in the pit. I mean, I was right on his hammer going in, and I think he was about 6.5 seconds ahead of me when I come out. So I just tried to run my own race, and I seen them guys coming. I had nothing for Hobbo. He was just way too fast, but it was good to actually sort of be in a bit of a battle with him.
Rightio, mate. Well done again. We'll come back to you if we get a chance, but I doubt we're going to. We're running a little bit short for time, and we've got to rip around and get ready for the stock car race as well. Ben Snell, can I go to you? An early race incident that you got caught up in that wasn't your own doing. To come back from that to finish 4th, chasing very hard to get 3rd. You would have had him if you had another 300 metres, I reckon. You got to be happy with that.
Oh yeah, what a cracking race! That was interesting to say the least. I haven't done the old burn from the stern, as Nick likes to put it, in a while, and it definitely showed because I put my car into a spot that it really didn't need to be. Unfortunately, I'm watching on the broadcast now. I put the car on the outside of poor Matt, and when Hobbo went up the inside of him, he just ducked a little bit to the left, and then we unfortunately made contact. So I thought, well, I've already crashed, so I may as well redress as well, make sure that everything's all hunky-dory in that aspect and not be that guy. But, yeah, I'm really unfortunate because I know I had the pace to be up there with Hobbo fighting for the win. Definitely felt like I had a lot of speed. I got a lot of speed in the Mustang. And just unfortunate that things went the way they did, but I'm happy to take a 4th. The top 5 in general is pretty good.
Benny, are you jumping into the stock cars now?
Yeah, just loaded in right now. I'm going to start from the back again this time as well, so it's no Quali Friday today.
No worries. We'll let you go and focus on that, mate, and we'll check in with you after the stock car and have a bit more of a chat about this one. Well done.
No worries, guys. Cheers.
Matt Stratford, 2 defining points of that race for mine as far as your drive was concerned. Ultra brilliant all the way through, except for clipping the grass on the exit of the bus stop on the second last lap, and then just running out of time by the barest of margins on the run to the main straight in redeeming yourself in your bid to get back by Brenton, 0.05 of a second. It doesn't get tighter than that.
Yeah, mate, that was pretty. That was a pretty good race.
Your thoughts on it as a whole?
less cans would have been a few more tents, but it's all good. Watching him the whole race coming through, myself and Joe just saving a little bit of fuel. Yeah, that was great.
Certainly was, mate, and obviously that battle between yourself and Joe and Michael Schreier in the early parts really set things up, didn't it?
Yeah, mate, that was great. I told Joe, do not pass me, do not pass go, do not collect $200.
Just work together. Was that the aim of that?
Yeah, mate. He couldn't catch me anyway, so it was all good.
Hey.
Tick to yourself.
I love it. Hey, that's your another podium finish. I'm just having a look at your results now. With Hammond not on the grid tonight, you should inherit the lead of the championship, but you've had a third, a first, a second, and a DNR, and it did not race a couple of weeks ago. So you've been Mr. Consistent thus far. It's going to be a two-way fight between you and Michael for the championship now.
Yeah, that's going to be it. I'll be missing about 2 weeks, I think, coming up. I've got to go and stay away from work, so just trying to get a few points up.
So will you miss next week or the one after? What's the go there, Stratty?
Well, just depends. If I can get this job finished, mate, I'll be back on the grid.
Beautiful. Well, Phillip Island's the next stop, so we hope to see you there next Friday night, mate.
Yep, I'll be there.
Nicely done. Well done. Dylan Gray, let's check in with you. 22nd in the end. First of the runners a lap down. Give us a summary of that 45 minutes, mate. It looked like hard work. You got caught up in an incident early on as well.
Yeah, I wasn't having my spotter going and didn't see Nick there. I thought he got past me. I was still in front of him, and then massive crash.
Indeed it was, but you fought back from that okay. Are you happy with 22nd?
Yeah, I thought I could have not been a lap down, but I went, nah, won't stay in front of the leaders. They were too quick for me.
All right, and what are your thoughts initially on what's to come, mate? Because you've got a fair bit of iRacing ahead. Obviously, next Wednesday night, the up-and-comers into, of course, the TCR GT4 racing, and then obviously back here for next Friday night. What have you enjoyed this week, and what are you looking forward to as far as next week's concerned?
Mainly, hopefully, not finishing the GT3 race
on Monday night,
and probably try and not DNF in the up-and-comers.
Yes, very good point, mate. Thanks for coming in to having a chat to us tonight. We'd love to chat a little bit longer, but we're short for time.
Yeah. Okay.
Good on you, Dylan Gray. Thanks to him. Thanks to Ben Snell. Thanks to Matt Stratford. Thanks to everyone, and Joe Baldwin and everyone else that's come into our post-race broadcast here for the production cars. Repeating, Brenton Hobson getting the job done by 500ths of a second. Doesn't get tighter than that. A photo finish if ever there was one.
Yeah, boy.
Joe
Sorry.
And Michael Schreier making up the top 5. Rick Vincent, Simon Ferris, and Jackson Rayhana, with Warwick Sharp and Corey Ball making up the top 10. Jack Allisey, Jared Daly, Jonathan Turner, James Wilkins, and Chris Stark, the top 15. We'll recap that again for you at the back end of the night. We'll have the updated championship standings as well, courtesy of Adam Lavis. He's lining up to go stock car racing. We're going to take a quick break here on Do a Drift Esports Friday Night Motorsport for the Gentleman Sim Racing Club for Oculera, LJ Hook again, Darren Central Coast Subaru. Back in around 3 or 4 minutes with all of our coverage, all the action of the race from the Glen, as pictures will come into your lounge rooms via Do a Drift Esports whilst we have a break, rehydrate, and get ready to rock and roll again. Stock car action from the Glen on the other side as the doubleheader on a Friday night continues. Stick around.
back up now. We have stock cars. I'll hand you over to our commentary team, Zach and Nick.
Well, it's actually Paul tonight, Rob, because
Paul.
Nick is
Hello.
in the driver's seat, ready to rock and roll. Round 6 of the Stock Car Series for the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, Season 2 of 2020. And a massive Friday night doubleheader for us, given what we've seen thus far in the production cars. Will the stock cars turn it on in a similar way to what the production cars just did? We'll have to wait and see. Paul Nichols, good evening once again to you. Obviously a little bit frustrating that driver error ended your night early in the production cars, but at least you get to sit back and enjoy and have the fun part of the broadcast for the stock cars.
Absolutely, and that was a cracking race in production cars. I mean, I think you called it. I think the drivers called it as well. It was one of the best races we've had in the series so far. So that's what that's what we're expecting. I mean, the driving standards over the last 5-6 weeks have really improved. And I think everyone's got the point of the club is to respect each driver. And everyone's doing the right thing at the moment. So except for me, I keep putting it in the wall, but that's okay. It's my fault. No one else's fault.
Beautiful. I'll just prompt Rob again to send a director's cut through as soon as he has it ready for us. From the Glen there. Cars out on the circuit now. We're almost at the end of practice here. A reminder that we have changed things up in stock car land in recent weeks, where the practice session has been extended to 1 hour and 40 minutes, with the qualifying reduced to 10 minutes and a 2-lap standalone rather than an all-in. And of course, the race will be over 43 laps, and the 43 laps on a 3.19 kilometre circuit is a fair way around, of course. 3.91 by 43, that gets us 168.13 kilometres. So a very long, hard slog coming our way tonight. That's without,
correct.
So 168.13 kilometres, 43 laps. There will be a safety car in there. As per usual.
Clamp down, as you like to call it, Zach.
Yes, not in the first. Well, that's when we don't have the safety car on the circuit, but we do have the safety car on the circuit, so that's okay on this occasion. But with the rules and regs here, it won't be in the first 5 laps and it won't be in the last 10 laps. So it'll be somewhere in between lap 6 and lap 33.
And I just generated the number, but I'm not going to share that with you.
I didn't think you would. You never do. So it keeps us in suspense.
Absolutely.
That's the best thing about it. Looking forward to this race, mate. So much to be excited about in stock car land. Let's have a look at the championship standings thus far. And we can remind you that Glenn Postlethwaite's on top, 256. Carl Watmore, 217. Brenton Hobson, 183. And Nico Pops there on 170 points. Brendan Whittaker, 168. Adam Lavis, 165. And Michael Schreier, 154. Trent Lavis, 147. Paul Jansen, 121. And Chris Whittaker, 101. Now, Chris Whittaker didn't finish the race last week. Trent Lavis not on the grid this week. But we're looking forward to what might happen all the same. In fact,
I can't see Paul Jansen either. I don't think he's on the grid though. So.
Very small field, actually. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 cars in here. Yourself and Joe Baldwin in, but you're not racing.
Not racing. I've just jumped in as a driver to, just to do race control.
Fair enough, and I dare say I'll be interested to see whether Joe Baldwin lines up as well.
Well, I think after the success he had in the production cars,
yes,
I think
absolutely.
He probably will jump in. Joe's a very good steerer, so
he's running on adrenaline.
Yeah, he might burn from the stern. You never know.
Why not? Well, we're not at that point yet because qualifying is just about to start here. So 109.9 the pace so far from Glenn Postlethwaite and Carl Watmore. 110.7 for Brendan Whittaker and Brenton Hobson on a 110.8. 111.0 for Chris Whittaker, the times thus far. Now, should point out, Friday night, plenty of sport on a Friday night, not least MotoGP, not least Formula 1, A-League, Super Rugby, NRL and AFL. And I can tell you the NRL, the opening match of the round, the game between the Warriors and also Penrith, won by Penrith 18 points to 12 in the end. So that was on the back of Melbourne's dominant performance there last night over the Sydney Roosters. Forgive me for the self-indulgence of mentioning that as a Melbourne Storm fan.
Lots of injuries last night, I believe. Heaps of injuries.
Oh, it was a shocking night. But in terms of the result for us, we won't complain. Glenn Postlethwaite, the fastest in practice. Let's see if he can repeat that form in qualifying. I'm expecting another Watmore Postlethwaite show, Paul. That seems to be the par for the course this season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got to also look at Brenton. He's just come out of a race and he's just put in 110, so he's not too far off the pace. So yeah, let's see what happens.
Indeed. Right. Cars entering the circuit for qualifying. Yeah. Qualifying underway. Ocular aerial shots show and tell the story of Watkins Glen International for you. We're on the short circuit this time round, of course. So that boot section is only 1.5 kilometres, but it's the difference between, as we saw in the Mustangs, 2-minute lap times and 1 minute 10s. But of course, the stock cars are a faster car generally than the production cars, so that's not as good a comparison as it should be. Interesting to see who does what here tonight. Michael Schreier backing up as well after a pretty good form, or a pretty good run, I should say, in the production car race. Massive night of sporting action ahead. We've really enjoyed what we've brought you thus far, and I think that the stock cars can deliver just as good a finish as what the production cars did. Although I tell you what, if you were Matt Stratford, you were hoping for maybe another 50 metres, because I reckon he would have got the job done.
What's the point? 0.5?
0.5 the margin. Yeah, that was incredible. Yeah. Really good stuff. So hats off to the pair of them. Again, MotoGP opening practice, 5 factories in the top 5 there tonight. So interesting to note that. And Formula One practice underway at the moment. We'll update you on that shortly if we can.
I'll just look out for a pit stop, Zach, and I'll be back.
No worries. So we'll let Paul Nichols do that. I finally got to the bottom of why Ben Snell's put himself in the broadcast green room, and I think it's just so that he can be on his own rather than in the chat with everyone else, just for a little bit of concentration and peace and quiet. So we ruined that for him in the last race, but anyway. Great to have those of you joining us on Facebook Live and Twitch, and also on YouTube Live as well. Friday Night Motorsport, the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, Do Drift Esports. Next week, massive week ahead. We mentioned earlier in the week that the GT3 Series heads to Melbourne Motorsports Park. The up-and-comers and also TCR GT4, they head to Virginia International Raceway. And for the stock cars and the production cars, Phillip Island for round 7 of the championship. Looking forward to that immensely. Phillip Island next week, so a familiar circuit for all of us. Now, interesting to note that the coronavirus livery is still being run on Chris Whitaker's car. He'll be hoping for a much better run this week than what he had last week. Of course, his race ended early. And we ride with him now through the bus stop. Glenn Postlethwaite, Michael Schreier, Brendan Whitaker the fastest so far, but we're yet to see a time from Cal Watmore, from Brenton Hobson, and from Ben Snell. But Glenn Postlethwaite has already set the benchmark time, 1 minute 10.1. It'll be interesting to see what happens here in terms of fuel burn and the like. Nick sent me through some numbers there earlier, which I'll have a look at now for you. 3 fast repairs, 1 full course yellow, as we mentioned, 2.3 litres a lap. So they're running a 35 litre tank, so somewhere in the vicinity of 16 laps to a tank there. And race times we're expecting to be around the 1 minute 12s, whereas qualifying, as you've seen already, in the 1 minute 10s. So we're almost halfway through this 2-lap sole qualifying session. You've got the 23 of Adam Lavis on your screen there. Not going to get the Lavis boys confused tonight because there's only one of them. Adam Lavis running in the 23. We say good evening to Trent Lavis and all the team up in Noosa, getting ready for the hill climb there this weekend. Massive weekend in the Tewantin National Park. Great event. Not open to spectators this year, quite unfortunately, and quite understandably as well. But we wish everyone up there the very best of luck. The Noosa Beach Classic Car Club. Just like we wish everyone else that's racing in southeast Queensland tomorrow the very best as well. Racing resumes after a 5-month hiatus. And that's all I'm going to say on that for the moment. While we're on the subject of plugs, don't forget to come and join me tomorrow morning, Saturday morning, on West Bremer Radio. The weekend sports switch, a look at all things local sport here in Ipswich, and then, of course, all the national and international stuff between 10 and midday. So the local sport, 9 to 10. National and international, 10 till midday. The weekend sports switch and the Saturday morning sports clubhouse only on West Bremer Radio. Dual Drift Esports, as we said, Monday night 8 o'clock, Wednesday night 7:30, and Friday night 6:30 Eastern Time. I'm bringing you all the action from the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, and that's ongoing throughout the rest of this month and this year. So you won't be just disappointed if you are looking for your racing fix every week here. Even though we're starting to slowly get back to the real thing, which is nice. Glenn Postlethwaite, Carl Watmore, then Brenton Hobson, Michael Schreier, Brendan Whitaker, Chris Whitaker. They're the top 6 at the moment. Nick slotted into 7th, Nick Windsor, then Jackson Rayhana, Adam Lavis. And Tim Weir making up the times at the moment, or the time sheet. The running order. 110.1 for Glenn Postlethwaite, 110.1 for Carl Watmore. 0.05 of a second separating them already. You can tell it's going to be a tight race. Ben Snell heading back out onto the circuit now. He's just out there to entertain us and have some fun and go drifting in a stock car at the moment, because as we heard him say in the post-race from the production cars, look at burn from the stern. It's no qualifying fight. Given that there's a very small field starting tonight, I think he can get away with it. Now, there's Watmore coming through. He's on a flyer. What can he do here in the closing stages? 2 minutes left. Reminder, of course, Paul Nichols will be joining in the broadcast booth for this race. I should point out the voice of Queensland Motorsport is actually in the house at the moment. He's here at 9. Mark Jones, of course, but we don't have 2 microphones. If it wasn't the COVID era, I'd probably invite Jonesy in to share the microphone. But with COVID around, he's out there keeping an eye on Formula One practice for me. So we wish him the best with that. And you'll see him out at QR tomorrow if you're heading up that way. So please say hello to him. Glenn Postlethwaite, Carl Watmore and Brenton Hobson, the top 3 here. Half a second separates the top 3. And 0.2 of a second between Hobson and Schreier. So very tight at the top, and the top 4 in the 1 minute 10s. Brendan and Chris Whitaker sharing the 3rd row at the moment. Nick and the 2 Nicks on the 4th row. Nico Pop and Nick Windsor. Then Jackson Rayhana and Adam Lavis. Then Tim Weir. And there's a few guys burning from the stern in the back end of this race. Checkered flag is 50 seconds away. Carl Watmore's on a charge. He's on a flyer. What can he do? Round onto the main straight. Can he better the time of 1 minute 10.1? Across the line? The answer is no. So it'll be Postlethwaite and Watmore sharing the front row, with Postlethwaite on pole position. He'll get the bonus point to boot. Paul Nichols-Rees joins me. Qualifying wrapping up now, mates, which means we're not far off getting a start here. 43 laps the journey. This is going to be good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, time's up the front very close. So, it'd be interesting to see strategy tonight. I mean, as normal, you think about fuel and tyre strategy. There will be a clamp down period at some stage during the race. So, it's probably, the guys working out when they need to pit and be safe with the random safety car. So, really interesting. A couple of guys haven't set times yet. So, Ben, he's going to do the same again, I'd say. Burn from the start.
Indeed. Now, this is your chance for the next 30 seconds, mate, because I've just got to run a quick errand and grab a top-up for the beverage.
Yep.
Member drive. We're trying to get the Victorians into sim racing while they're still in lockdown.
Yeah, absolutely. So make sure you look us up on Facebook, the Gentleman Sim Racing Club Incorporated, a not-for-profit club or an incorporated club. We're registered as not-for-profit. Jump on board, look us up on Facebook. If you want to join as a financial member, you can certainly do that and then race with us and be broadcast on Dual Drift. We have, at the moment, we have around 250 paid financial members, plus about 900 Facebook members. Look us up, join the club, jump on Facebook, see what we do, and you can come and join us and be in the broadcast. We run 6-7 nights a week. We do some random pop-up events on the weekend. A lot of fun, really good guys, a lot of pro drivers and guys that do track days, so a lot of experience.
And we've even got a drifter in Benny Snell, and he was lighting up the camera there during the qualifying session. We were looking at lap times, but we're also looking at Ben Snell tear up his tyres. So looking forward to seeing what he can do from the back of the grid tonight. Looks like we've got a fairly quality star-studded field here. What we lack in quantity, we make up for in quality. Starting with that man on the screen, Glenn Postlethwaite from pole position. Now we got the pace car at the front of the field here, so we will be doing a sighting lap, a formation lap, and then the rolling start. Remember, of course, Road Atlanta, we got ourselves a standing start, which threw everyone off, but thankfully it didn't turn into an absolute disaster. Looking forward to seeing how this will go. They move away from the grid. Glenn Postlethwaite and Carl Watmore to resume their duel. So yeah, a reminder, Gentleman Sim Racing Club, check the boys out on Facebook. And as we say, there are so many different iRacing clubs around Australia. The Australian iRacing community is bigger than we probably would give it credit for. But it's a matter of if you want to be involved in more than one club, you can. These guys are more inclusive. If you want to be opening your door to more potential opportunities to go iRacing, then get involved here. It's the perfect way to go.
And also, we've had a really good uptake of the ladies' night, the Tuesday night ladies' night.
Yes.
Partners, girlfriends, wives, sisters, daughters, and it's been fantastic. I think we've really enjoyed it. We've got some really competitive ladies that have certainly been practicing, and some of the boys have been kicked off their sim rig, which is quite funny. They don't put any time on it. It's a fantastic environment. We want to create that all-inclusive environment, so no matter what level you are in sim racing, jump on board, have a look at the club on Facebook, and if you do want to join as a financial member, you're more than welcome.
Be interesting to see who has what to say in the post-race tonight. We missed out on having a chat to Chris Whittaker last week, so he's always up for something controversial, and he's always someone that we give everyone a language warning for. But of all the people, would you believe it, we normally give a language warning before we welcome Chris in. No one would believe the fact that he's the last person to let slip at the moment. Everyone else is let slip, and not Chris. So he's done very well. He's done very well, but it'll be interesting to see who has what to say tonight. We usually get a little bit dangerous on a Friday night.
Spicy, a bit spicy.
Yeah, a bit spicy. We have some fun with it, and we're glad that everyone tunes in to enjoy the post-race show just as much as the show itself. And speaking of the show, it's about to get started now. A little over 168 kilometres, I think we worked it out to be. 43 laps on a 3.91 kilometre Watkins Glen Cup layout. The stock cars for round 6, season 2. Let's go. Postlethwaite, Watmore from the pole, and we head to the green. It's flying, and we go racing at the Glen. Everybody safely away, which is really good to see. On the run down to turn one, Rayhana on the move already on the inside of Nick, got the job done. Also displaced Nick Winter through there as well. Rayhana's made a good jump. That was a real clean move. 9th to 7th already for Jackson Rayhana as the rest of the field sweeps through. Adam Wavis already under pressure from Ben Snell. The run up the back straight. At the front, Glenn Postlethwaite and Cal Watmore have led the field away cleanly. Hobson's tucked in behind, then Schreier, then the two Whitakers. And I'll be interested to see if Chris has got the better of Brendan after Brendan got the better of him during qualifying there. To turn 7 they go. Reminder, of course, that there are 4 corners in that bus stop, but iRacing only counts it as 1. Let's turn 8 and get back onto the main straight. 1 lap in the books. We'll get an idea as to what race pace is like here. 1:13 from the rolling start for Glenn Postlethwaite. Half a second to Watmore, then another half a second back to Hobson. Schreier, Brendan Whitaker, Chris Whitaker, Jackson Rayhana make up the top 7, and Nick is there in 8th. Clean start, which is more than what we could eventually say for the production cars, Paul, but I expected nothing less. A smaller field makes it a little bit easier to get through turn 1 and 2.
Yeah, and also the quality of these drivers. I mean, I'm definitely not a NASCAR driver. I can't drive these things in a straight line. I like downforce and traction control and ABS, where these things don't have any of that at all. So yeah, look, these guys certainly have some talent, particularly up the front end there. The top 10 guys certainly have some talent that I certainly don't have, as witnessed tonight. Put it in the bin twice.
We like luxury driving, don't we?
Correct, yeah. Air conditioning on, leather seats, heated seats,
exactly.
ABS traction, stability control.
Although I'll trade the heated seats for aircon in summertime up here. I don't know that. Let's move around on the main side.
Summertime, that's like daylight saving time.
Don't start! Rob's already been up me tonight about that. It's too early in the night. It's not 7 o'clock in Western Australia yet. I can't swear properly yet. Glenn Postlethwaite, Cal Watmore, 4/10 of a second at the moment. It might be me that goes tonight. It might be me that keeps going with water.
You might have to throw $1 in the swear jar.
It'll be more than $1 if I get going. Go get this stuff. I'll run out of change, and I've got a big piggy bank. I'll run out. It'll be drip dry. Glenn Postlethwaite, Cal Watmore. He's Ben Snell. We're on board with him. Down on the inside of Nick Windsor and the job done. The ocular aerial shot shows and tells the story of Snell getting by into position number 9. The next target is Nick. So he's got by Windsor and then on to the other Nick, Nico Pop. They head down the back straight. That, of course, a straight that combines the entry to the boot with the exit of the boot. And around they come again. 7. The run to 8. There are the two Whitakers. Rayhana on the tail of Chris Whitaker at the moment. Good start from Brendan Whitaker. Normally we see Chris Whitaker ahead, but Brendan's got his measure tonight.
He's doing pretty well, isn't he?
Exceptionally well. Speaking of exceptional, the entertainment at the front of the field it's on like Donkey Kong already. Glenn Postlethwaite and Cal Watmore, 0.3 of a second separating them. Rayhana doing well to hold off, to stick with Whitaker. Snell putting the pressure on Nick at the moment. The burn from the stern treatment working for him so far. 12th to 9th, biggest mover in the field. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th staying where they started. Rayhana the mover from 9th to 7th, and Snell from 12th to 9th. Nick's dropped the spot from 7th back to 8th, and Windsor from 8th back to 10th. Tim Weir's off at the bus stop. And I like Tim Weir's ambition and his enthusiasm to get involved, but he still struggles on a Friday night with these stock cars. There's no doubt about that. But at least he gets out there and has a go and doesn't. I'm sure he gets frustrated with it, but he doesn't show and he doesn't give up, and he keeps going until there is no more to give, which is to be admired. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this car is a very difficult car to drive. I mean, it's designed for an oval track, so obviously it doesn't have the setup for a road track. So for these guys to do road track racing in these cars, so hats off to them. I won't be joining them anytime soon.
No, there was actually, on the subject of Oval v Road Course. There was a very funny video shared by Nats Carl at NBC last night, which I shared across the socials earlier this morning, with all the stock cars going to go along the oval and then forgetting that they were going to the infield and all crashing into the Armco and spiralling all over the place. It was just a game, folks. Settle down.
Was that an AI race? It must have been.
Must have been set up to deliberately do that just for the giggles of the situation, I dare say. Glenn Possible, Carl Watt Walk, 0.3 of a second separate them. Branson Hobson, heats at third. We're watching Jackson Ray Hunter. My apologies, I've just got a little tickle in the throat. He's following Chris Whittaker. Brendan Whittaker is a couple of seconds up the road from them at this point in time. Ray Hunter running the Mobile One livery. Whittaker can't help himself. He's got the coronavirus livery on once more. Although he has worked on alternative liveries so that he could change it up, but a couple were revoked by club management. So the less said about that, the better. But I think you get the idea that they weren't exactly family friendly for the broadcast. So,
well, particularly PG rated, so we need to be conscious of that.
Just a little bit. Yeah, which is why we don't let them into the chat room until after 9 o'clock. Because 9:30 is when we can technically get away with M, because that's 7:30 in WA, but at the moment, no, not yet. Good evening to those of you in Western Australia, if anyone's tuning in. I know Rob's got contacts in Western Australia. So do I, actually. It's a nice part of the world, except the way it's going at the moment. In fact, can I just say that I mentioned it the other night, and it was run on television last night, someone ran with it, that they were talking about having passports for separate states and visas to get into separate, and we were talking about that the other night. I don't know whether it was on air or off air, but because of the WA border closure, everyone's talking about the fact that they're going to need visas and international passports to travel from state to state. That's the way 2020 has gone. It's amazing that we've gone from being one united nation to being 8 little colonies all over again. We've gone back to 1901.
And if it's, I got something to say on that quickly. Something I noticed this morning was quite funny. But just quickly, if you're watching the stream, let me know in the chat how the volume is. I've made some comments that the volume's been quite quiet. These cars sound awesome, so I have got it cranked a bit. But if the car sounds too loud and you struggle with your commentary, let me know and I'll adjust it. Now, what I was going to say and what you're just saying, Zach, is I saw something, and as a lawyer, it made me laugh this morning. Now, I'm not sure if you've been following the Clive Palmer WA state government battle. Well, they actually put through legislation this morning, which is basically debarring suing them. Now, the funniest part about this is, and I've never seen this before, is he is mentioned by name 13 times in the legislation.
Wow, really?
Yes.
So it's legislation for one person.
For one person. Now, you must be some sort of, I don't know the word for it, but for an entire state to hate you so much that they mention you by name 13 times in a piece of legislation designed to simply block you and only you from doing something. Now, I've never seen that, and that makes me laugh a lot. I've never seen it. It's very funny. I was reading through that this morning. If you're interested in that, I'm sure if you Google, I believe it's the Minerals Energy Regulations Update 2020 or something like that. You'll find it, and you can actually read through the drafted legislation and have a look. And even if you just push Control F to find and type in Palmer, you'll find his name scattered through it. It's quite funny.
Let's focus on the leaders at the moment. Look at the leaders at the moment, Posy and
let's have a look at this
racing.
Because it's Watmore and Postlethwaite by a quarter of a second. The margin. Have a look at this side by side on the exit of turn 8, and Watmore goes to the lead around the outside. Very nicely done. We'll get back to the legislation in a moment because that's important, and I like incorporating politics and motorsport. It goes hand in hand. But we need to focus on this right now. It's Watmore that's got his nose in front. For weeks he's been chipping away at Glenn Postlethwaite, edging closer and closer, and now he's got his nose in front of the Glen. Postlethwaite won't give up without a fight. We know that this will be at least a 1, maybe 2 pit stop race. so he'll have his chance to get back into the fight. He'll also have a caution. He'll go with Watmore now, but do they chop and change and dice and let Brenton Hobson potentially into the fight, or do they work together to build a lead and then duke it out the way they've done the last couple of weeks? We'll wait and see.
I think Brenton is going to be the threat to these two guys. If they're battling each other, they're going to probably lose. They might lose, half a second a lap if they keep battling. So if they're smart, I'll just keep in each other's slipstream, drive sensibly, and try and keep Hobbo out. But I don't like the chances there.
You had your eyes on this battle before I did. I've been monitoring the broadcast feed, but my iRacing server is following the battle between Ben Snell and Jackson Rayhana, because Rayhana's doing a great job to hold Ben off at the moment. That's the battle for 7th. We'll stick with the leaders, though. This is an awesome fight, and Postlewaite is on the back foot for the first time this series. Watmore has been chipping away at it, looking to find a way to beat P1. Now he's finally got there. Really good to see. Really long way to go here, though. It is lap 10. It's a 43-lap race.
And we have a clamp down at some stage, so
that's exactly right.
We'll that into the calculations for sure.
So this will be very interesting to see how all this plays out. But at the moment, nothing separating first and second, as it has been right throughout the stock car series. Yes, there was one round where we weren't able to broadcast, but this pair have brought their A game to every broadcast we've had on a Friday night. They continue to do that.
But also a cracking race for 3 and 4 as well. So
absolutely.
Very close. Brenton and Michael Trey,
Meanwhile, gap between Brendan Whitaker and Chris Whitaker out to 1.9 seconds. Gap from Chris Whitaker back to Jackson Rayhana is back to 2.6 seconds. Still getting the job done on Jackson Rayhana. Ben Snell just 7th now. But he's out in the grass. He's a little bit sideways. Rayhana sweeping around. He's outside, and Snell on the inside. They're side by side on the run down to turn 1. We'll keep our eyes on that battle as well. Glenn Postlewaite losing time on Watmore out of turn 1 too. It is all happening here at Watkins Glen. Snell holds Rayhana to turn 1. Rayhana sweeps across around the outside and now inherits the spot. So Ben Snell yields and tucks back in. What a cracking fight. They've invited Nick back into it as well. Plenty to keep your eyes on here on a Friday night early on. What is it about Watkins Glen and stock car racing? It just delivers the goods. Fantastic racing early. We are only 12 and a half minutes into the race.
What's Watkins Glen the first race that Ambrose won in a stock car, is that right?
Correct, yeah. So, from a stock car standpoint, it has Australian history, which is great. That's why a lot of people, Ambrose is success. I mean, a lot of people, NASCAR fans in Australian motorsport circles before Ambrose went on his venture, but that just
he certainly created a really good for sure.
Oh, absolutely. NASCAR was a big winner as far as the Australian market was concerned during that tenure. Yeah. And it continues to be that way, despite the fact that he's no longer there. We love tuning in for the big races, Daytona, Talladega, the road courses.
Well, and Marcus is also an iRacer, so
this is right.
Yeah, he's jumped on iRacing. He's built himself his own motion rig. So
put yourself through that torture.
Well, he obviously has that technical brain, and he built his own rig, and he's into iRacing. I'm not sure if he's that serious about it, but he's certainly built his own rig and does some racing. So I've seen him in circles before.
Through the bus stop they go one more time. Nick's got the best seat in the house at the moment. He's got his eyes all on this battle.
Well, he'll be lapping it up.
He will know that if they make a mistake and they slip up, he'll slip through.
Yep.
That'll be 2 spots for him. It'll be 7th and 8th, all in one hit. They need to be careful though, because they're losing ground to Chris Whitaker, who just went through your shot. Cal Watmore's extended his margin out to 1.0 seconds. That's the biggest lead of the night, believe it or not, right here. And then Postlewaite, Hobson, Schreier, Whitaker, and Rayhana the top 7. Snell and behind them, then Nick, then Windsor. Adam Lavis 11th, Jared Daly, Tim Weir, Joe Baldwin, and Julia Mucky make up the field. Non-starters, well, actually none worth mentioning there except for Josh Millard, because he was the only person that put a time down in practice that didn't start the race. So So we could have had 16, we've got 15 though, and they're throwing up some great action thus far here at the Glen.
Zach, I feel like it's going to be one of those nights where it's going to be a struggle as to which battle to follow.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Well, we're already experiencing that, yeah, absolutely.
So I'll do my best to switch between, but also maintain enough vision on each battle that you're not chopping and changing too much.
If we spot something, we'll tell you, don't worry. But right now, our focus is Ben Snell all over the back of Jackson Rayhana.
Really interesting.
Rayhana was sideways coming out of that corner. That was turn 6 on the run up to turn 7, and he might just leave the door open for Ben Snell here, but no, Snelly decides against it. Paul.
I was saying Brendan and Chris Whittaker. So Brendan's what is he got? He's really got a 3 second gap on Chris.
Ben Snell's in. Ben Snell's in the line. Sorry, Paul. You're right. He has got about a 3 second gap. 3.3 between Brendan Whittaker and Chris Whittaker. So that's interesting to see that Brendan's got Chris's measure tonight. I'll be interested to see what that comes down to on Chris's behalf, because normally he's the one with the advantage here. But at the moment, our focus is Ben Snell pulling up for his first stop. He's the first one to jump after 16 minutes nearly of racing here.
I'm just checking whether he's doing both side tyres. I'll look at say both. Actually, it might have been just rears.
Now, just to highlight what Rob was saying with the legislation stuff against Clive Palmer, he's arguing that the border closures are unconstitutional, which is absolutely right. However, the sad reflection of what 2020's society is that the border closures have been somewhat incredibly popular, and it boggles belief as to why, and that's why we feel that Palmer might lose out, despite the fact that I personally want him to win so that WA can open back up to the rest of the country.
The issue
That's
here,
right.
Zach, is that he's also trying to sue them for 30 million or billion, I think, I can't remember.
Billion.
Damages, which is coming from the taxpayers of WA. So he's obviously not made any friends, because he also made the mistake of telling them all he makes $1 million a day in royalties from WA just from one mine site. So they're not very friendly towards him at the moment. They see it as him obviously threatening their health, so he can make money off of them as well. So you can understand their anger towards him.
But see, as I highlighted on socials last week, the border closures are a political power play, right? There's a WA election next year. Border closures are popular. We'll keep them up. There's a Queensland election at the end of October. Border closures are popular. We'll keep them up. Northern Territory go to the polls next week, despite the fact that their government has driven them into the ground of debt. I think they're 6.2 billion in debt or something like that. Nothing like Queensland's debt, but still, it's debt for the Territory, which isn't good.
Especially during daylight savings, like really.
Thank you. But border closures are popular, so we'll keep the bloody things up. So that's where it's at the moment. It's incredibly frustrating.
I would think that if you're going to close your border, why don't you have a protocol in place where you test people? It only takes 2 days to get a result. You test people. When they come across the border, 2 days, you isolate yourself, you're negative, off you go.
Logic, that's the problem. Common sense.
Really? Yeah.
So anyway, we'll get back to the politics of that a little bit later on. As I say, I don't mind a little bit of politics because it goes hand in hand with motorsport.
When's daylight saving? 4th of October? 5th of October?
Yeah, it's getting too close for comfort right now.
I'm going to keep plugging that.
Someone highlighted out to me. Someone highlighted to me on Thursday that we get summer in August, because it was about 29 degrees here yesterday. I said, yes, isn't it nice? We've now got 7 weeks of summer and then 6 months of bull dust. I said that because that's when we fall behind. So it's like a wasted opportunity. But anyway, we'll enjoy the warmth while we've got it. I'm actually in shorts and shirt tonight, and it's actually very humid here on a Friday night. Now, have a look at this. We're on board. That was one of the Whittaker entries. On the outside there of Benny Snell, Brendan Whittaker.
Brendan's, yeah.
On the grass. He was on the grass coming onto the straight there, which is incredible. But he's holding off Ben Snell. So, across the short chute they go. And that's the thing too. Nick was saying to us pre-race, Paul, you might have been in on the discussion. He said, I'm really looking forward to getting into the stock car, not so much the Mustang, because because the Mustangs are so slow. Once you get into the stock car, you're like, oh, this is nice. We've got car speed again. So I know they're all enjoying this hit out at the moment. As you notice, 70 seconds a lap as opposed to 120 for an extra 1.5 kilometres. So you just get a comparison there.
And also, look at Nico. Nico's doing very well. P3. It's only 0.8 off the lead. So
now I'm just wanting to clarify here. I don't know if we've seen them yet, but Glenn Potterwaite's got back in front of Carl Watmore now. Have they pitted? While we've been talking politics,
have a look. Yeah.
Have they pitted? Because if Nick's there, well, Nick's not in the shot with them at the moment. If we can get a shot of the leaders from Rob here, Nick's not following them through right now.
Well, Brendan's, so lap 15 and 136.7, so that's a pit stop, I'd say.
So I would hazard a guess that, on lap 17 now, Nick's coming at the end of 16, and the order will refresh as they come across the line this time by. Very nicely done. So Postlethwaite, despite losing the lead to Watmore early, has got it back during the pit stop sequence. Now we wait to see where this caution's going to fall, because we need to start weighing this up, Paul. 43 is the magic number, so if they're getting 15, 16 laps, as Nick did 16, as the others did 15, if that's what they're getting to a tank, you're looking at lap 27, 28 is your critical number.
Yeah, so correct. I think that's about right, yeah.
If we were to get a safety car on lap 2021, I can't see anyone being able to fuel up and get home. So gone will be Brenton Hobson's play from last week.
Yeah, correct. I know the number, but as I said, I'm not going to disclose that number. So we're at lap 18. Let's see what happens.
All right.
Remember last week you actually called it as I threw it?
Pretty much, yeah. I don't have that foresight all the time. But,
I know.
Last week I was on the money, so that was good.
Absolutely on the money.
So Glenn Potterwaite, Carl Watmore across the start-finish line one more time. That'll be the end of lap 18. Lap 19 begins now. 0.186 the margin. After 18 laps, 22 minutes and 14 seconds of racing. So we're heading for that hour marker again, as we usually do on a Friday night. 43 laps is the distance tonight. Now, Postlethwaite leads Watmore, Hobson, Schreier, Whittaker, Snell, Whittaker. So that's Brendan in 5th and Chris in 7th. Jackson, Rayhana, then Nick. Then you go back to Nick Windsor behind them. The real battle of interest at the moment is this one here between Postlethwaite and Watmore that we need to, we'll get back to in just a moment. Schreier has 1.3 seconds there's 1.3 seconds between Hobson and Schreier, I should say, as Watmore dives down the inside again into turn 7. Now Postlethwaite will have the inside run for turn 8. But Watmore will try and sweep and hang around the outside. He hangs top. They go side by side. Watmore gets the cleaner run. He outlasts Glenn Postlethwaite, takes the lead back of the Glen. You just noticed Postlethwaite get a little bit tailing through 8.
He lost the rear there.
Watmore needed.
Lost the rear, lost drive out of the corner, and Carl just got him.
Brilliant manoeuvre. For the second time tonight, Carl Watmore takes the lead at turn 8. In this car race. What a cracker it's turning out to be. I was just pointing out to Nico that this is the real only active battle at this point in time. 1.6 seconds between Hobson and Schreier, 3rd and 4th. And then nothing really after that.
No, there's quite a bit of time between all the spots, isn't there? So, yeah, Hobbo and Schreier, that's close. Schreier might be just trying to save tyres, I think. Maybe he's ready for the next pit stop or the safety car. So,
well, this is the thing too. You've got to weigh up tyres, fuel, all those different equations. And as I say,
and you're probably driving to a number as well. Like you think about this length of, let's say, 43 laps. You're driving to a number with fuel. So, and you can work out that you probably need to do 2 pit stops in this race. So they're probably working out numbers in their head, going, okay, well, I need to do 2 pit stops, maybe change a set of tyres, and I'll get home.
Well, this is the thing too. As we were saying, we've been asking the boys what the tricks of the trade are when it comes to fuel saving over the last couple of weeks in all the different races that we bring here on Dual Drift Esports. And the fact of the matter is that Watkins Glen isn't really one of those circuits that opens itself up to fuel saving because there's a lot of open straights and there's not too many corners. So for mine, there won't be too many opportunities. If the caution is to wave sometime between now and lap 24, lap 25, there's not going to be enough of an opportunity, I wouldn't think. Oh, we're on board with Benny Snell, drifting it sideways through the bus stop. How did he hold on to that? Oh, Ben Snell, you're insane.
We know it's a drifter, but that's amazing.
That was phenomenal. So what I'm getting at is they're going to have to weigh it up, the pros and the cons. Can we fuel save? Because we're talking 15, 16 laps to a tank. So can we save for 3 laps behind the caution? Can we do enough to get us home? Or do we have to do a green flag pit stop closer to the end of the race? A lot of decisions to be made here.
Yeah, correct.
I got my eyes on the screen. Lap 22. We know that the caution flies sometime between now and lap 30, the end of lap 33. There will be no caution thrown between lap 34 and 43, folks. Her last 10 laps are allowed to run green. Obviously, that changes if the caution is thrown lap 32 or 33 because it is allowed to be thrown that late. But there will be no caution thrown during that last 10 laps. It may continue into those. There it is now, actually. There it is now, right on cue. Lap 22. I'm thinking 22 was the magic number last week for some reason. And there we go. So now, everything we've been talking about out the window. Out the window. I can't see them getting home from here. 21 laps to go, including the one they're on now.
No, they have to stop again.
Ultra fuel saving over this next couple of laps still won't help them.
No.
So it looks as though there will be. If you stop now during the safety car sequence, you're going to have to stop again at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
At the end of the race. So it would be, from my end, I'm looking at it thinking if you just follow the safety car around, regroup, reconvene, and then it's a risk versus reward strategy game. It's a gamble from that point forward. But it's what more versus possible weight yet again, as we know. So everything that we've been talking about in terms of fuel strategy and tyres and everything else goes out the window. Just trying to find the numbers that Nick sent through earlier in the day. Talking about fuel burn.
2.6 per lap from memory?
Yeah, so 2.3.
2.3, okay. Yeah.
Let me just divide that right now while we've got this time. 35 divided by 2.3 is 15.21. So 21 laps from home, no one's saving, even with the 3 and 4 laps of caution, no one's saving 6 laps of fuel. And remembering, of course, these tanks are, of course, a lot bigger in the real world, but they're artificially tampered, if I can put it that way, for lack of better words, to add that element of strategy to a race. Where, of course, if it was 43 laps in a full tank, 100% tank, and there were no restrictions, all these guys would probably go all the way through just needing to change tyres maybe once. But it now becomes a fuel race because of the restrictions that we put in place just to spice up the entertainment of the product, Nico. Nico's out of the room at the moment, but we'll get back to him soon. Yellow flag flying. Glenn Postlethwaite dives in. Cal Watmore stays out. Tim Weir gets the wave around, so does Joe Baldwin. Yellow flag flies, and a lot of these cars going in, but Watmore stayed out. That is critical to note. The yellow flag flies. It's not being waved at the moment. It's just being held aloft. And look at the flurry of traffic. It's like the Bruce Highway in the pit lane right now. Out they come. Chris Whittaker, Brendan Whittaker, all out. Glenn Postlethwaite as well. In fact, I reckon one of the Whittakers beat Postlethwaite off pit road there, so that's interesting. What's even more interesting is that Julian Mucky has now been waved around past the safety car as well. So everyone's going to come out behind Callum Watmore. And Watmore... So this is the interesting thing. Everyone's dived in now. And we are
still out there, though, isn't he?
Callum stayed out. Carl Watmore stayed out, yeah.
Pos's out. Did Posse go in, did he?
And everyone went in behind. Everyone behind Watmore on your screen there went in.
Wow, okay, yep. So I was doing
the three
some
lap
race
cars
comms.
that you've waved around.
So I did some race comms and just waved around a couple of cars,
So, Nico, this is interesting because Carl Watmore knows that there's another stop to come. Everyone else has gone in and pitted, and I get a feeling that we're going to be in a situation where we were last week, where these guys are going to be trying to save a tremendous amount of fuel to get home. Because, I mean, we're going off what Nick's getting in terms of his fuel economy. So, 35-litre tank, 2.3 a lap. We worked that out to be 15.21 laps. So they're our numbers. I don't know what these guys can do to save. I mean, they'll obviously save a bit behind the safety car, but they're then going to have to save another 3 laps on the back of when we get back underway, because we'll go around this time, get lap 25 in the books, and then there's 18 to home. So Watmore's going to try and do this on one less stop than everybody else. This is going to be very interesting as to how this plays out.
Can't be possible. No way. He'll have to stop.
Well, no, this is what I mean. Like, my reckoning is, as we see Brenton Hobson come to the lane now, I know that Watmore's got to stop again, but I think everyone else is going to have to stop a third time.
Yeah,
so Watmore's going to try and do this on one less stop.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Two-stopper, yeah.
So he's going to try and do a 2-stop. But Hobson's just gone in, and now that's 2 stops in as many laps for Hobson. So that's an interesting strategy.
Wow, okay, there you go.
Because he went in on pretty... I'm convinced that he went in with everyone else last time around. And I know
maybe he's worked out that he can just throw another lap of fuel in it and get home.
So restarts will be single file.
Well, you think about it, like if you throw a lap of fuel in, not lose too much time. Yeah.
Now let me just have a look here, because Brenton Hobson, I'm just opening up my little server here. Yeah, he went in last time round and this time round.
Yep. Okay.
And he's bringing the rest of the field behind him, those that were a lap down, back to the back of the queue. Oh, this just got interesting, Nico, because there's 3 strategies.
Yeah.
There's everyone that just pitted last lap. There's Hobson who pitted this lap, and there's Watmore who's trying to 2-stop.
We're going to have to dissect this after the race, I think.
There's going to be a lot to talk about post-race here. This is shaping up to be one of the most incredible stock car races we've seen this season. We know it's a 2-way fight in terms of the outright pace between Postlethwaite and Watmore, but everyone's on a different strategy.
The dissection would be like year 11 bloody science, I reckon, in the biology lab.
No, thank you.
With the rat.
Never again. Hey, Cal Watmore and Brendan Whittaker. So Whittaker did get by Postlethwaite in that run to... and we've just had another car go through unlapping himself for a second time, so that would be Julian Mucky one more time.
Yeah, correct. He's still a lap down.
He's still a lap down, but the pace car's pulling in, so he's about to go that lap down again.
Yeah.
Because this field will catch him rather fast. Back to green we go. Brendan Whittaker getting out in front of Glenn Postlethwaite in that pit stop sequence is an interesting talking point in itself. We need to watch that. Nick went into the pit lane there as well, so Nick's gone in now. Nick's topping up now in the hope of getting home. And a little bit of fuel saving will be involved. 18 to go. Chris Whittaker through turn 1. Glenn Postlethwaite's already got by Brendan Whittaker. Didn't muck around. Didn't waste any time there. Job done. Tim Wynn had a spin at turn 1, and Jackson Rayhana was trying to get up there on the inside of Michael Schreier. I don't know if he was successful in that quest, but he's now right behind Benny Snell. So Snell's had a great restart. Up to the bus stop they come. Everybody safely through. Except for Nick Windsor. Bang into the wall. Rick Winter smashes into the wall. Wow, what a restart here. Remember, if we do get to a point and we're 3 wide down this short shoot, if we get to a point as Schreier gets down there on the inside of Chris Whittaker, and we'll now look to make light work of Brendan Whittaker, but isn't close enough. Remember, there is still time for another caution in this race. I don't want to put the mocker on it or anything like that, but there is still time for another caution. Anytime before lap 33. The completion of lap 33, then it goes green the rest of the way. Now we've got Watmore, we've got Postlethwaite, we've got Whittaker, we've got Schreier, we've got Whittaker, then Snell, then Ray Harder, then Adam Taylor, Joe Baldwin, and Brenton Hodgson. They head down the short chute. What a great race this is setting up to be.
You look at the gap that Cal and Glenn have put on Brendan and Michael Schreier. It's 2.4 at the last time pass along.
2.4 in 1 lap as well, important to note, Nico. They did that in the first lap after the caution. 2.4 seconds. These two are not mucking around. Schreier got by Brendan Whittaker to put himself in a 3rd spot. Whittaker's under pressure from his mate, Chris Whittaker. And then, of course, Ben Snell's right on their tail. But
also, look at P3, 4, 5, 6. They're only separated by, what's that? Just 1.2 seconds last time pass.
Incredible fight. Yeah. Ray Harner's in that fight as well. Snell down on the inside to get the job done. And now Watmore by Postlethwaite by Watmore, side by side. They go through turn 2 into turn 3, still side by side. Postlethwaite will try and hang them, but Watmore gets across and shuts the door. Real hard, fast, aggressive driving from this pair. This is one of the best shows they've ever put on for the Gentleman Sim Racing Club right here. And Callum Watmore has got his nose in front still, except he's under tremendous pressure from Glenn Postlethwaite. And he has been for the last half a lap. These two have been hammer and tong all night in a way that we've not seen before. So evenly matched on this course. And it's going to come down to strategy. I would suspect that Glenn Postlethwaite knows that there's one more stop in this race. I would suspect that Cal Watmore knows that he definitely has one more stop in this race. Postlethwaite, as long as he goes with Watmore, can't fuel safe the amount that he needs to make up the time that he lost by pitting there during that safety car. So it's go hell for leather now and see how it plays out in the pits. What's interesting now, though, Nico, is Watmore is on the older tyres. Postlethwaite is on fresher tyres, and Watmore's holding him at bay. Out of turn 1 more time. Side by side one more time. This time, Postlethwaite has his nose up the inside. Watmore forces the issue, tries to go with him. They've got lap traffic in the way here on the run out of 3. The run up towards the bus stop. And now Postlethwaite has his nose in front. That's exactly what I was talking about. Postlethwaite on fresher tyres because he stopped in that safety car period. Watmore, of course, trying to stretch it and make it a 2-stop race. One of these strategies is going to work, one of them isn't. It's a long way out from knowing which is which. Through, onto the back straight. This is on board with Cal Watmore, following Glenn Postlethwaite. They've gapped Schreier, they've gapped Whittaker, they've gapped Snell. And that's an extraordinary fight that's unfolding there at the moment.
Awesome job on the back marker there to get out of the way, so well done, hats off.
Yeah, well done to Julia Mucky. And Nick Windsor's got a lap there. Now, here we go. Watmore's pitting now. Watmore is in now, and he knows that this could make or break his race. One of the Whittakers followed him in as well. It was Chris. So Chris Whittaker's in. Cal Watmore is in. See, they all know. They all know that that's a 2-stop. That was going to be a 2-stop race from that safety car. One during and one on the run to the flag. So green flag pit stops for the second time tonight, and Watmore trying to do this on 2 stops, whereas everyone else is in for a 3rd.
I don't see how he can. I really don't see how he can.
Well, I'm not. Well, he can now because he's fueled up to go home. But the fact is, there's Tim Weir. Tim Weir's just not having a good run at turn 1 tonight. He's had more hits than Elvis on that wall in the inside of turn 1. Anyway, back to the race, back to the show. So Watmore stopped once before the safety car. He didn't stop during the safety car. He's the only driver that didn't stop in terms of those that are in contention. He's now stopped. It's 14 laps to home. He gets 15 laps to a tank. He can go all the way. He can fang it now. What the question is, when does everyone else jump? Because Chris Whitaker's jumped when Cal did, so he's gone in. He's going to run right to the end. The later Glenn Postlethwaite, Brendan Whitaker, Michael Schreier, Ben Snell go, the fresher their rubber's going to be in the back end of the race.
Correct, yeah.
So it's an interesting dynamic here. A really interesting dynamic. Sideways out of turn one, Brendan Whitaker. Following Ben Snell. Ben Snell moves up into third in all of that. Brenton Hobson charging back through. Now, interesting to note that he stopped twice during the safety car. Back-to-back laps. Is he able to run to the number? Because from mine, had 18 laps to go when we got the green flag. You get 15.2 to a tank, so he's got to save 2.8 in there somewhere. Not to mention that he already burned one lap getting back out onto the racetrack, getting onto the back of the queue. So he's probably got to save in excess of 3 laps of fuel here. And that won't be easy. It's a gamble. Will it pay off? We'll wait and see. And let's not forget, well, Nick Windsor's out of the race. I've just got that message come through. Nick Windsor's parked up. He's gone. And he's also sitting in the broadcast green room as well. So I think all those guys in there have just gone in just for the peace and quiet of it. Ben Snell, Joe Baldwin and Nick Windsor.
Yeah, all their mics are off, all the headphones are off.
But if Nick Windsor's out of the race, then we might be able to drag him in for a chat. We'll see. We'll keep our eyes on this race, though, for the moment. Brenton Hobson has moved up into 6th position in all of that. No, he certainly isn't. Joe Baldwin holding him up nicely. But that might also help.
And then I don't know if you saw Joe actually passed him again. But they've been back and forth.
Well, this is the thing, mate. I think Hobson's trying to save that amount of fuel that we've been talking about. He won't necessarily mind this at the moment, because the longer he can stay there and just run at a lesser pace, the better he's going to be to go all out at the end. But we're a long way from home. We are a long way from home. Paul Nichols back with us. Fairly quiet in the broadcast green room at the moment, Nico.
Yeah, very quiet actually. Yeah, I just sent a message to Nick just asking if he wanted to jump in the broadcast, but no response. So he might be fuming out the back.
Wouldn't be the first one to be fuming tonight, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Jackson just got into the back of Brendan Whitaker. Didn't turn in, but all good.
There they are on your screen now, folks. This is an extraordinary fight as well, because this is a 3-way fight for 10th, 11th and 9th. I should say 9th, 10th and 11th. So Rayhana and Nick and Brendan Whitaker across the line. Brendan's got 1.8 tenths of a second on Rayhana, and they've gapped Nick by 8 tenths of a second. Now this will be interesting. Can Rayhana find a way by Brendan Whitaker? Chris Whitaker's in clear air now from those guys. He's got 7 seconds. So the later pit stop actually helped him, or the earlier pit stop I should say has helped him. Glenn Postlethwaite leads by 1.4 seconds to Michael Schreier. Then you go back to Ben Snell, Adam Lavis. We ride on board with Jackson Rayhana now. The only tell is that pink race suit, ladies and gentlemen. That's the only tell. He's been ready to go, chomping at the bit for the stock cars all day. It's amazing because a couple of weeks ago he had to be begged and pretty much talked into coming into the NASCAR server, or the stock car server, by our good mate Nick. And he's lapped it up ever since. It's a nice little challenge for him on a Friday night. They're a delicate machine to handle. The stock cars, looking forward to Daytona on Monday morning, of course. And of course, next week they go to Dover for a couple, and then back to Daytona on the oval. So a couple of real good races coming up in the stock car series, the NASCAR Cup. Whether you Foxtel's commitment to the broadcast of the sport this year has been disgraceful. Some races live, some races highlights. Let's hope that they keep with some consistency in the back half of the season and bring us a couple of the better races live because they didn't even advertise until the other day that the stock car race on Monday morning is live. So it makes it very hard to follow. And I know that, as we said, there is a loyal, passionate, following, dedicated group of stock car supporters in this country for the main game especially. So
Certainly Snell's in the pit.
So the fact that it isn't being Ben Snell's in the pit, did you say?
Yes, Ben's in the pit.
Yeah. So the fact that they're not being told what's live, what's delayed, they're getting a little bit disgruntled with it as well. So round they come onto the main straight one more time.
Looks like Benny just put left-hand tyres on, so Ben's put left-hand only.
So that'll drop him down the order, of course. I'll be interested to see where he comes out in the greater scheme of things. He was third going into that stop. Cal Watmore, it's interesting to note, is still sitting there in 6th position, fighting his way back through, but knowing that Hobbo's stopped again. Hobbo has stopped. So Hobbo stopped. Watmore is on the run home. We believe Hobbo's trying to fuel save his way home. I don't know how he's going to make that work. 18 laps fuel. Yeah, it's touch and go for Hobbo.
I'll keep an eye on him and see if he hits.
Looks like Ben Snell's come out in front of all of those all and sundry mentioned cars. I'm just trying to weigh this up at the moment. My timing screen's telling me one thing, the screen's telling me another. It looks actually, there's Ben Snell now, and it's Whittaker's either side of him. So he's come out there somewhere between 6th, 7th and 8th. Watmore up into 5th. He's now 0.9 of a second away from Hobson. So watch that, because that's a point of interest. Joe Baldwin's running along nicely. Michael Schreier as well. They've got a stop to make, and Glenn Postlethwaite will wait for him to come to pit road, because he needs to come to pit road one more time, we do believe. Lap 36 of 43, 8 to go. Really exciting racing on a Friday night out the Glen. Track time says 5:39 p.m. It's actually 7:02 a.m. in New York at this point in time, but of course, simulated world, we can do things a little bit differently. Up the outside goes Ben Snell on Chris Whittaker. Job not done yet. Couldn't get through on the inside. Whittaker holds the spot. And no surprises for guessing that the sim date was set to May 15 yet again as well. So, interesting dynamic here. The track, interesting to note from a tyre burn standpoint, Nico, 50% fuel limit capacity, of course, but the overcast temperatures, as Snell has a look there on the inside and gets into the side of Whittaker. No, Brendan Whittaker's going to come through and clean that up very nicely. And Chris tucks back in behind Brendan, and Ben Snell yields and allows Chris to resume the position. But now they've got double the work to do because they've got to get back by Brendan Whittaker. That was unlucky. I mean, Ben, good on him for having a crack, but maybe wrong place, wrong time, as the ocular chopper shot shows and tells the story. It's actually perfect racing conditions here. If we have a look at them going side by side through turn 2, Ben got a little bit too much curb through 2, but he got the outside run through 3, gives Whittaker a little bit of a tap going through 4, and now the job is done. So Whittaker loses 2 spots in all of that, and he's about to lose out to Jackson Rayhana as well, and does. So Rayhana goes through.
Yeah, I think the tap from Benny there obviously affected the exit speed for Chris. So I think Brendan's a big winner out of that one.
For sure. I meant to mention this at the top of the broadcast. 18 degrees and cloudy, the overcast conditions, the ambience. The 21-degree track temperature is actually perfect for this form of racing, so they'll be lapping this up at the moment. Had it been a hot day, they'd be a little bit worried about tyre wear and a few other factors, so they'll all be aware of how critical it is to be on good tyres at the pointy end of the race, at the back end of the race, I should say, but they won't be too critical about the wear compared to if it was a hotter day on track. So, lap 38, 6 laps to go. Cal Watmore has found himself to be the race leader now because Glenn Postlethwaite has pitted while we've been looking at this battle between Ben Snell and the Whitakers and Jackson Rayhana. Ben Snell in the back half of the race, gunning for Brendan Whitaker's position. That's the battle for 6th and 7th that we'll need to keep an eye on. I think we're pretty well locked and loaded here. Cal Watmore has come out as the race leader, 2.9 seconds clear of Glenn Postlethwaite. Postlethwaite pitting in the closing stages that we didn't see. And Watmore's been able to inherit the lead. He is 1 second clear, Postlethwaite, of Brenton Hobson, which we're riding with now, I should say, across the line, another lap in the books. And you can tell, you can really tell that Hobson's in fuel-saving mode here. Just by riding on board with him, he's dropped 2 seconds that last time around to Postlethwaite. It's now 2.5 between Postlethwaite and Hobson. And Watmore leads by 3.5. So Watmore's in the box seat here. The two-stop strategy is going to work. Ben Snell still chasing down Brendan Whitaker, the fight for 5th and 6th. And he's getting nice and close there. Jackson Rayhana's got Chris Whitaker's measure 7th and 8th. Then Adam Lavis and Nick makes up the top 10. Joe Baldwin, the last one on the lead lap. Then Julia Mucky and Tim Weir make up the field of cars that's still running. 13, in fact. Cal Watmore, Glenn Postlethwaite, Brenton Hobson. 1, 2, and 3. No real surprise there. However, Brenton's in trouble. Brenton is in trouble because Michael Schreier's right on his tail. You see it there. Michael Schreier right on the tail of Brenton Hobson. I thought that it was ambitious. It was worth a shot. It worked for him last week, but it's not going to work for him this week. Brenton Hobson really in struggle street trying to fuel save here on the run to the checkered flag, and there goes.
Yeah, I think it's just giving that up, I'd say. Yep.
It was just absolutely nothing he could do to stop that from happening, and Michael Schreier moves into a podium position here. That's a big story in itself. Brendan Whitaker, Ben Snell, that battle continues. Jackson Rayhana's got Chris Whitaker covered. So we're keeping our eyes on Snell and Rayhana. Snell and Whitaker, I should say. And we're keeping our eyes on Postlethwaite and Watmore. Watmore out to 4.0 seconds now. So, look, it's a long shot for Glenn, but I can't see Cal being beaten now.
No, not with a 4-second gap. Pretty tough to get back from there. I'm interested in seeing how Brendan goes. Brendan catching up. Is actually Brendan in front? So yeah, Brendan
still got Snell covered. Yep.
So I'm seeing how Brendan goes catching Hobbo. If Hobbo's fuel saving.
Yeah, well, this is exactly right. Can they catch him? I don't know. It's touch and go. It's 6 seconds. And it's 3 laps.
The way Hobbo gave up that position, I wouldn't be surprised.
So let's keep our eyes peeled.
He's lost about 3 seconds on that lap to Michael, so
yeah,
not impossible.
It's 5 seconds now between Hobson and Whitaker. It was 6. It's 5 seconds. So Hobson could be in trouble in the closing laps here. Be interested to get his comments at the back end here because that was the thing. We had 3 different strategies in motion, and we knew that only 2 could work because we looked at Brenton's fuel burn, and we looked at the average fuel burn that Nick gave us, and we looked at the laps to go, and we thought there was no way in hell it was going to be able to.
Tried to do 18 laps on a tank, didn't you?
18, yeah.
Yeah.
19 actually.
19, yeah, okay.
Because he exited, he came out and rejoined the race. With 19 to go, and we got the green with 18 to go. So, good on him for having a crack, but it's not going to work on this occasion. Ben Snell setting up Brendan Whitaker for a move here. Closing laps of the race. We have 2 laps to go. Look at Snell up on the outside going into turn 8. He finally gets the job done on Brendan Whitaker. What a move around the outside at turn 8. That is brilliant. Ben Snell moves up into 5th place in the motor race. They are 4 seconds away from Brenton Hobson. They've got 2 laps to try and close the gap. Can they do it?
I think they can.
They're out of seal 4th position.
If they work together, they can.
Well, that's right. They can't afford to jockey for position too much. They need to work and go. That's exactly what Snell's message has been. Let's go. Let's worry about the fight when we get to Hobson. We can still catch him. We're on board with Hobson. Look at how he's just limping through. Turn 6 at the moment. The last lap board will be out for Cal Watmore this time. How good has this race been? It's had everything. The jockeying for positions, the midfield battles, the front field battles, the different strategy play. And in the end, it's going to be the man that two-stopped that's going to get home and get the win. What a performance it's been from Cal Watmore. 1 lap to go at the Glen. That margin is about 2 seconds, I reckon.
Brenton is clutching it big time.
It's
Brenton's clutching it, so he's in big trouble. He's clutching it into every corner.
It's 2.5 seconds from Brenton Hobson to Ben Snell. What can Snell do here on the run of the line? What can Hobson do? Has he got enough? Can he hold on? Look, you can't take your eyes off this battle. We need to praise and give Cal Watmore the accolades he deserves, but you just can't take your eyes off what's going on here. Making our way into the bus stop for the last time. They're closing. I reckon they're just not going to get there, but I might be wrong. It could be that Hobson limps it across the line. Here we go. Let's get to Cal Watmore and acknowledge that, because this has been a scintillating performance from Cal Watmore, and he's going to take the checkered flag now and get his first win of the stock car season. What a performance. What a way to bounce back and answer the challenge against Glenn Postlethwaite. Watmore wins at the Glen. Postlethwaite second. Schreier third. And now have a look at this on the run to the line. Hobson's done enough to secure fourth in the run to the line, but look at how close it was. One more lap and Ben Snell would have been there. He gets fifth. Brendan Whittaker sixth. Jackson Rayhan is going to come home in seventh spot. Then Chris Whittaker, then Adam Wavis. And then Joe Baldwin down there in 10th position in what was a cracking Friday night race at the Glen. And Nick's going to limp it home to the line in 11th position. And truly limp it across the line as well, as Julian Mucky runs it into the wall there on the exit of turn 8 and again gets across the line. What about that? Cal Watmore, take your hat off to him. Congratulations. Glenn Postlethwaite beaten for only the second time in this series. And Brenton Hobson has somehow got 18 laps out of the tank. That is incredible stuff. We'll debrief and dissect this in just a moment, folks. I'm going to top up the drink and lubricate the tonsils, because that's been a busy hour for us.
Awesome call, Zach. Really good fun.
Mate.
Awesome, mate.
56 minutes and 16 seconds. The best stock car race we've had this season.
Absolutely. I just said that to the guys in Racecom, just saying that was a cracking race. Strategies, what were the top 11 within 37 seconds, so awesome race.
Yep, and in the end we had 13 cars home. Tim Weir, the last of those, in 13th, 3 laps down. Julian Mucky, 1 lap down. Everyone else on the lead lap. Really good stuff there. Just having a look at the different results this season. Brenton Hobson, of course, with 2 wins. Glenn Postlethwaite with 3. Now Cal Watmore with 1. So 3 different winners in the first 6 rounds. It's been really good to watch here on a Friday night. The Gentleman Sim Racing Club for Central Coast Subaru, LJ Hooker Game Day on Do Drift Esports, and also the aerial shot supplied by our good friends at Oculair right on cue there. Wow, take a breath, ladies and gentlemen. 43 laps, 56 minutes, 16 seconds. The winning margin, the biggest of the season in terms of the broadcast race, is 10.84 seconds from Watmore to Postlethwaite. Schreier in third. Then, have a look at that. Hobson, 1.2 seconds back to Snell. 2/10 back to Brendan Whittaker. The margin between Rayhana and Whittaker blew out. That's Chris Whittaker, of course, blew out to 4.2 seconds in the end, and then another couple of seconds back to Adam Lavis, Joe Baldwin, and then Nick there in 11th. We'll get Nick into the chat room shortly. We'll bring a few more drivers into the chat room shortly, but firstly, Joe Baldwin's unmuted and ready to go. That was a bit more hard work, I'd say, for you there, Joe.
Oh, God, I think I've earned a beer tonight after that one.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely.
these aren't as you might remember last week. I really struggled. I was hoping to get in and do some practice Tuesday night with the boys, and it just didn't happen. Work's too busy, and I went from struggling with the 13s to I was only like 8/10 off the fastest lap by the end of it. But how much fun was that race with Hobbo there after that last safety car? It appears he might have been saving fuel, but oh god, what a buzz! Like tonight's just been so much fun. And hey, to come from a lap back to 10th, I ducked in and grabbed tyres there. I had to, I had to top it up, put tyres on it. It was about the only strategy that was going to work, and it sort of did. It got me a top 10 anyway. But how much fun are they?
Well, this is exactly right, and that's why we love them. Stock cars on a road course, there's nothing quite as unique. There were 3 different strategies at play there. There was the strategy with the cars that came in and stopped up during the safety car. Then there was Cal Watmore, who didn't stop during that safety car, and he went on to win the race. And then there was Brenton Hobson, who, as you say, was, and rightly so, was fuel saving for the duration of that last stint, trying to save about 3 laps across the course of 18. And, clutched towards the end, as we saw there. From your standpoint, though, what did you make of the race in terms of the strategy play? Because, as we say, there were 3 different strategies in motion there all at one time.
Well, I was my hands were tied. I made a mistake early and spun when I was battling one of the other boys. I can't think of it, Timothy, I think. And I made a mistake which put me a lap down, and I hadn't found my groove by then. On the first stint, on old tyres at the end, I think I was running 15, so we're just dead. But I didn't want to stop. I had to run it out of fuel in case there was no safety car. You know what I mean? So hats off to the guys that did it. Like from when I stopped, it was only 1 lap earlier than Brenton, and I had to put 15 litres in.
For sure. We'll hopefully get Cal Watwell down here soon. Hopefully Brenton Hobson will come and have a chat too, and also Nick. A lot to try and dissect in all of that. Joe, we'll come back to you if we get a chance, mate. Well done. Glenn Postlethwaite, I'll come to you for the moment. It's not often we talk to you after finishing second, mate, but that's back-to-back weeks where you haven't got the W. Still, by our count, you'll be the clear championship leader, but it wasn't to be a number 1 tonight.
Stoked for Cal for starters. Great job. He had great pace around here. It's unreal. Quali was okay. We were super close, but I think 3 laps into the race, I just straight away noticed how bad I was on the back tyres. Then he was just driving off the corner so much better. He just hung onto the tyres way better than I was able to. So I tried to adjust that in the second stint, but it didn't really make any difference. So well deserved. He was fantastic. So.
How was it in terms of tyre wear there, Glenn? Because I mentioned during the call the fact that it was cooler probably worked to your advantage. If it was a hot day, everyone would be complaining about tyre wear, but clearly that was still an issue.
It was. It sort of caught me by surprise, to be honest. In practice, I felt pretty comfortable. I didn't really do many long stints, but I was probably pushing a little bit too hard into the corners and a bit too much rear brake, and just a couple of little moments, and it just sort of escalates from there. So, you start lighting up and pretty much just loses a lot of pace. So.
Nothing could separate you and Cal there when you were side by side on the circuit. You were glued to each other in the first stint, in the second stint, just after the safety car as well. But then obviously with you two running different strategies, Cal pitting early in that last stint, you pitting towards the back end, it drifted apart. Was the ploy in your mind to stop late and therefore have the fresher rubber right at the end, should you be in a position to challenge for the win?
I don't know, I kind of messed up the strategy a little bit there, and I took a couple of litres too much fuel, but that kind of made a whole difference. But I'm not really sure what Cal did, because he didn't pit during the safety car, so we had obviously a lot more fuel to take on. So I'm assuming he took at least 2, maybe 4 tyres, whereas I think I only had 8 or 9 litres of fuel to put on, so I didn't take tyres last. Made a few mistakes in my stint before and run off turn 1 and lost a bit of time, but sort of just didn't have enough for him tonight.
For sure. We'll get to Carl in just a moment. And on the subject of fuel, even though you took on an extra couple of litres that you didn't need, I think Brenton Hobson might have been asking for those litres if there was a way to transit them from car to car. Brenton, let's go to you because it worked for you last week. The fuel save game all the way to the checkered flag, you got P1. Tonight, it was a lot more challenging a task to save fuel than it showed in the result, mate.
Yeah. Burned a little bit. I mean, they were too quick, so it was never going to beat them. It wasn't the story for me, but tonight was even more so. Too many laps in the Mustangs first. I think should have probably practiced. But yeah, I was asking a bit much on the tank, but I knew I wasn't going to beat him, and I honestly caught myself out. I didn't think I'd have to save quite so hard, but now I look back at it in retrospect and think I'm an idiot, just like last week, except that it worked last week. So, I think I had to do 19 laps on a tank that we can get 15 and a half laps out of without saving. I was banking on an extra one under caution. I thought we might have, with the wave rounds and stuff, it might have chucked an extra lap on the back there, but it didn't. So that instantly hurt me. But I committed to it. I mean, I knew I was never going to finish better than third if I raced them for it. So I figured I'll throw caution to the wind. We'll have a punt, see if we can go. I know that I'm as good as anyone when it comes to this sort of strategy. So I thought I'd give it a whirl. And, worst case in my mind, I thought I might have been able to finish third. But my mate Michael got me at the end there as well. So I cost myself a spot on a punt for a win. I'll do that any day. Yeah, well, that's it. Damned if you do and damned if you don't. Last week it worked, this week not. So regroup and get ready to rock and roll next week. And next week's a circuit that everyone loves in Phillip Island, mate. Oh, excellent. I reckon we could save some fuel around that track. Yeah, exactly. Already thinking about the fuel save game. I love it. It was interesting, wasn't it? Because we immediately picked up on you going in twice during that caution, obviously planning to fuel save all the way to the checkered flag. So from our standpoint, we were looking at this there were three strategies in play. Those that pitted under the safety car, knowing they'd have to pit again closer to the end. You pitting twice under the safety car in the hope of fuel saving. And Cal, who didn't stop under the safety car, knowing that there was still another stop in the race. It was quite an interesting dynamic tonight, a little bit something left field in terms of 3 or 4 different strategies going on at once. And that's what's good about this series, the way that it works. I mean, on paper, there's a lot of things about it that shouldn't work, but every single week it seems to turn out good racing and some different strategy. The restricted tanks obviously makes a big difference with that. So, I was thinking that actually. I was looking on the relative after Cal pitted. He was like 20 seconds behind. I'm like, oh, this is, you guys will be loving this. This will be interesting. And then the next lap, he was like 14 seconds behind. I'm like, well, this isn't going to go well. But I didn't know where he was relative to Posy. And, I knew they were on a different one as well. I honestly thought that Cal shot himself in the foot. I didn't think it was going to work. But the guy had some serious pace this week. So good on him. He did a great job. Indeed he did. We'll get to him in just a moment, but let's firstly tip our hat to you, mate, for that awesome performance in the Mustang and the production cars. From the rear of the grid, burning from the stern, straight to P1, and you couldn't ask for a tighter margin in the end there between you and Matty Stratford, 0.05 of a second. You only just got there. I had to make it interesting for you guys. No, I mean, really, there was about 4 or 5 laps. I caught him from a mile back, and then there was about 4 or 5 laps. I just couldn't break within a second of him, and I thought, he's got me here. I burnt the tyres off pretty hard driving up through the field, and I was sort of hoping that maybe he'd make a mistake, but wasn't banking on it. And then with about 2 laps to go, we sort of got a bit of a run on him, and got right up there. The draft helped us a bit, and I was like, we'll have a go, and I just sent it down at turn 1. It was pretty obnoxious sort of pass driving down the wall, but managed to get it done. And then I was like, all right, well, no mistakes, and see if we can get to the flag. And it was a tough old last lap. Without following someone, all my brake markers and reference points were a bit hard to sort of hit. So, typical driver, and did my best to throw it away. But it was a great finish in the end. Had a good race there with Matt. On the last lap, I actually missed a gear shift just after I passed him, actually, and he ran straight into the back of me, so that was lucky. He didn't just scoot back past. So we got away with one there, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. I didn't do any practice. I just jumped in and thought we'll see if we can drive them. I like those cars, but haven't driven them in probably 2 years. So I thought I'd have a crack, and yeah, that was a real blast. Had a lot of fun. Indeed. Congratulations on that. And as we say, fantastic. I don't know if you saw the mistake actually on the penultimate lap from Stratford, but he actually
cut the grass going through the last of the bus stop corners there, the right-hander. So that actually brought you back into the fight, and you were able to capitalise on that. So very nicely done. Stay with us, mate. We'll come back to you if we get a chance. Let's talk to the winner at long last, Cal Watmore. Sorry to keep him waiting this long. Oh, what a feeling, Cal.
Oh, mate, thanks, Heath. It's a pretty good feeling. Yeah, appreciate it. Really fun going toe-to-toe with Glenn. And, nice attempt. Hobbo on the fuel save, and congrats to Michael on the podium as well. That was great fun.
Paul Nichols and I were crunching the numbers here in the broadcast booth right throughout that race, and we knew pretty well straight away that when the safety car flags were and boards were thrown and the course car came out, we knew that there was another stop in that race under green conditions, because we were crunching the numbers. We knew that you guys could not get home if you topped up in that stop, which was interesting to see how it all played out. The bulk of the field going in and topping up. Hobbo, as we've been detailing for the last 3 minutes, going in and topping up twice in the bit of fuel saving along the way. And then you, Mr. Calm, cool and casual there at the front, just minding your own business and carrying on business as usual, knowing that you were going to stop later in the race. It wasn't much later, but it was enough to make sure that you could get home comfortably without fuel saving. Was that always the plan of attack?
Yes, yeah. A big credit to my crew chief, Ross, was crunching the numbers on the calculator for us, and he had us well under control, that we had to just stick to our guns. We sort of saw the different strats that were going on, and we were aware of them, and we've lost races in the same sort of way, doing a very similar strategy. So this time we just had to stick to it and hope that it was going to work, and that, yes, the pace car was outside the max fuel window, and we knew Hobbo was our yardstick for that, with hitting that extra time, so I was getting absolutely topped off with fuel, sacrificing track position. And I've put plenty of hours into this track. It's a simple place, and just learned a lot driving stock cars around here about how to keep tyres under them. And yeah, we went 4 tyres at the first stop and 2 at the second. And the weather conditions, the track conditions, are so gripped up that we watch the percentages, and it's really not chewing tyres, even when you at a decent pace. So we've learnt finally you don't need 4 tyres on the last stop around here anyway. And pace was still good. I was sort of wondering if Glenn was going to chuck 4 fresh ones on and have an attack at us at the last one, but it sounds like it took fuel only, and we had good tyre position at the end, and brought it home.
Yeah, interesting to note as well. Obviously, we noted that you immediately during that caution decided not to stop. You knew that you still had a stop to come, even if you stopped during the pit sequence. During the safety car sequence. So it was a kind of redundant sort of stop for many people in that instance. So you went away with that. You continued on. Didn't take you long to come to pit road though, because no sooner did Glenn Postlethwaite pass you on the fresher rubber, then you came to pit lane. Knowing that was going to put you on the more worn rubber at the back end of the race, were you concerned by that?
With how it grips up, and I've learnt the lesson so many times when I've been beaten at the end of races, just when older tyres still hung on. So it's finally sunk in, and really, really fun going door to door with Glenn. Kept it clean, and I don't think it touched between us twice up through the S's, and the last sector, the last couple of corners. Bloody awesome fun, and my brain's buzzing of puddle of sweat and everything. That was awesome fun.
And rightly so, mate. No, well done. First win of the series, of course. 6 rounds it's taken, but onwards and upwards for Phillip Island. And, of course, I know there's a Bathurst round coming up, and there's a couple of other venues that are to be determined along the way. This is the kick in the right direction you needed in terms of the championship fight.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like none of us had a real clean run. I think it was lap 1, I put 2 on the grass and got a 1X. I'm like, oh, well, it's not a clean race from here on out. So I was taking some liberties at the bus stop, grabbing a fair bit of dirt around there whenever to keep the car flowing nicely. But Phillip Island should be fun. I didn't think I'd like it, but grabbed the win there last season. So, have another strong run there.
Looking forward to that, of course, next Friday night. Hey, just on the subject of, before I get to the other drivers, the penalty points, as soon as you get a 1X, does the whole mentality change because of the fact that you're no longer vying for those bonus points? And how much pressure do you put on yourself when those bonus points are up for grabs?
Good point. I don't really think about it until it probably gets to about halfway, and then we look down and go, oh, look, haven't got any one, a single off track. Then you start thinking about making it clean from there. But I suppose it'd be nice, but I don't really know where the championship's at, so should probably have a look, see if I can smarten up.
I've got some news regarding that for you very shortly, and it looks like Adam Lavis has also taken into consideration the drop points scenario as well, which Nick can remind us of because he's back in the chat room now. Nick, the point structure a little bit different in this series compared to the last one.
Yeah, it takes your best 8 out of 10.
Okay, so already we've dropped 2, and we're looking at the point standings here. I'll update you on them very shortly. Yes, Nick?
Yeah, from round 7, it should be adjusted from here on.
Yeah. Okay. So looking forward to the next 4 weeks, of course, as we say, Phillip Island into Bathurst with the TBC next to it, and then a member vote, and then Bathurst definitely on the back end of that for round 10. So it could be 2 trips to the mountain in as many in the space of 3 weeks. We'll update you more on that very shortly. In the meantime, let's throw the conversation around. Cal stayed there. Chris Whitaker, let's welcome you into the chat for the first time in a fortnight. It's been a while. How's the old voice box, mate? Because you weren't able to join us for the GT3s on Monday night.
Oh, I've still got this god-awful Rona cough, but it's all good. I'll just cough on every 2 seconds. So I was like, no, I'm not even going to be able to commentate. So I'll just kick back and do nothing instead.
Well, yeah, exactly. Why not? We've got the easier part of the job. It's fair to argue. Tell us a little bit about your race, mate. There was one incident there between you and Benny Snell, which I saw Benny apologise for. But apart from that, it just looked as though you didn't have the pace tonight.
Yeah, pretty much. I didn't do any practice whatsoever this week. So we sort of jumped in. It was actually out at QR this afternoon. So sort of, I'm always sitting there saying exactly how realistic this is to the real thing. And then after 9 months, jump back in the real car and sit my butt back down the sim. And it's nothing like the real thing, to be honest. So it's starting to learn again. But no practice. That's all it come down to. I tried to do the Trent thing and it just didn't work for me. My strategy probably wasn't quite there. And the pace wasn't there either. I mean, Brendan out-qualified me. I think that says everything, doesn't it? So,
don't worry, we mentioned that already.
Yeah. I'll just get in before he does. That's all. So, but
hats off to Brendan, by the way. Well done.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly right. Yeah, but no, it wasn't too bad. I mean, we had that little bit of contact with Snelly, which I actually didn't get an incident out of that one somehow. I'm not sure. That was just a 0x, but then we came together again through the S's there and ended up with a 4x, and that was the only 4 for the race. So I sort of was figuring the opposite, where I didn't have the pace whatsoever. I was never going to be on the podium, so I may as well try jump a couple of spots with a 0 incident. But that wasn't to be either. So I was just a bit of a running wounded towards the end there, and just did what I could do. That was basically it.
How were we on penalty points, boys? Paul, Nick?
Give me a minute. I'll pull them up. Hang on a second.
Okay.
I was on 19.
Brenton gets the prize for least on 1.
Ben and Brendan had 19 each.
I didn't have any till I decided to do skids with you at the end there.
Oh, there you go. That sounds like playing for Glenn.
All right, because we should point out, folks, the incident count penalties for this race compared to production cars a little bit different, a little bit more lenient. There's 20 incident count penalties in these races, so 19 was right on the cusp of getting penalised. So well done to the boys that were on 19 and just didn't tip over. Interesting to note that one was normally we talk about the clean races, but no clean races tonight by the sounds of that, except for Glenn, who ruined it post-race there, as we often talk about being the case. Why is it that they give out incident points after the fact when you're actually allowed to have a little bit of fun? I don't get iRacing's lack of sense of humour. I feel sorry for Glenn there. He should have probably got some bonus points. Let's throw the conversation around a little bit. Chris Whitaker, I'll come back to you. Interesting to note as well, is it because you're out at QR this afternoon, lucky you, that you didn't have time to change livery this week, or are you just so into the Corona livery at the moment that you're just sticking with it?
I'm going to go away from it now. I've run it 3 weeks in a row and I've had 3 dud rounds, so I'm blaming the livery. It's definitely not the spacer behind the wheel. It's definitely the livery that's caused it. So, yeah, we'll set something else up for next week. But, yeah, it's exactly right. We're load the car up this morning.
I think you need to do a daylight saving livery.
Oh, don't you worry. It's on the car.
It's on the car.
I'm just going to wait for an appropriate time, my friend.
In my household, we've changed the name of daylight savings now because we live in Queensland. It's called Zach Light Losings.
Okay, all right. It's stitched up Zach Knight here on the Donaldson Racing.
It's always stitched up Zach Knight here on Do a Drift Esports.
True.
Don't get me started.
Are you racing this weekend, Chris? I'm not sure if you just said you were or not. I didn't hear. I heard you were down at the track.
No, we just did the general practice. So just had a look yesterday and saw there was a practice on. Obviously, as there always is on a Friday before a race beat, and figured, it's been 9 months since I sat in a butt in the seat, so I may as well get out there and go for a scoot. So
no worries. If anyone is listening who is racing tomorrow, I just wanted to say it'll be the first race meeting. I won't be with you guys. I did post something on Facebook about that. It is a really big, intense lineup. I think there was 24 races in a day. And
20 and the 5 qualifying, yeah.
Yes, and there's also the weather is looking to be pretty bad, and I know a lot of people haven't been out racing on the track, obviously, for most of the year. So, guys, keep safe out there. And as I always tell you guys, remember to check your mirrors, and remember, under races, the overtaking car's always in the wrong. So, just with the weather and everything out there, I don't want to be seeing too many, crashed cars or anything in the photos, guys. Keep it safe. We always like to see you coming back. So looking forward to seeing the results from tomorrow. Anyway, back to you, Zach and Chris.
Thank you. I was going to say, you can blame the livery all you like as well, Chris. It's dudded the rest of the world this year, so why not dudding your results? I'll side with you on that. Well done. Hey, looking forward to seeing what you come up with next week. It's always entertaining. Looking forward to that. Let's bring Brendan Whitaker into the conversation and then Benny Snell. Brendan, you got one up on Chris this week. You got one up on him last week as well. You're starting to get the hang of this stock car caper.
Yeah, it's not that hard to beat him, actually, to tell the truth back. Nah, it's just one of those things, mate. It just, I actually had not bad pace in qualifying straight away, which is good. So jumped in the seat and went a bit quicker than him. I thought, I should be able to have a bit of a run with him at least. Or I thought we might have raced closer together, but it seemed to be me and Snelly sort of pop up one in front of the other all the time. So, no, it was good. Good race.
Indeed, and you had a fairly intense fight there, a couple of different fights, actually. You had Jackson Rayhana chasing you for half the evening, and you had Benny Snell bearing down on you right up until the last couple of laps when he found a way by as well.
Yeah, mate, they're all picking on me a little bit. That's all right. I'm a big boy. But no, it's all right. It was good, mate. A bit of pressure from behind and sort of chasing someone, and Snelly was a little bit quicker. So I just tried to sit on his tail. I actually thought he was going to get Hobbo at the end. I thought, if he catches Hobbo, it might blow each other up and have a bit of sniff for the last lap. But that's all right. We'll see how we go for the next one.
For sure. No, you held your own very nicely throughout the course of the night, mate. Sixth, are you happy with that?
Yeah, mate. That's a probably a pass score for me, I suppose, with the royalty ahead of me, I suppose, in these cars. I can't complain with that. There's a lot of quick guys in front, and they obviously earn their spot. So, no, it's good.
Michael Schreier was in the chat room, but he's not at the moment, so we'll have to come back to him if he does come back and join us. If not, then that's okay, but we say well done to him for third place. Let's talk to Ben Snell now, who come home in fifth position, and Adam Lavis has joined us in the chat room as well. Benny, firstly, we were talking to you earlier about the production cars. We'll come back to that if we get time. But secondly, the burn from the stern treatment works so beautifully for you. We all enjoyed the entertainment that you gave us through qualifying, just drifting around the circuit, and you had a couple of moments there in the race where the drifting skills come in handy.
I would say a couple of times where I used the wrong braking marker coming into the chicane, and oh boy, was it scary. But no, it was good fun. I think I battled pretty much everyone in the field apart from Posy and Cal up the front. I think at any other time I had at least one person throughout the entire grid I was battling. It was amazing fun, great clean racing as always, and yes, some real sketchy moments as well thrown in.
Indeed, there were. You happy with fifth though, given everything? I mean, obviously there was one little incident there with you and Chris, but in the end, is fifth a fair reflection of your race?
Oh yeah, definitely. I did do a quali lap in the quali. I just exited on purpose through the chicane, and I think it was an 11.8. So I think I would have qualified fourth or fifth anyway, which is about where I was pace wise. I just don't have what it takes to match the top three at the moment. But I was really hoping I could get Hobbo at the end, because when he jumped into the pits, I'm like, nah, he's not going to make it. He's going to have to save so much. It's going to end up backfiring really bad. But credit to him, he held onto the line, and I just didn't quite have enough to get him right at the end. One more lap, Ben. That's all all you would have needed, I think. One more. Actually, I was going to say one more lap, I would have ran out of fuel, but I had plenty of fuel because I took left sides in the stop, so I took as much fuel as I could without losing time to taking left side tyres. So I think I had like 5 litres or something in the tank at the end, so heaps. Interesting to note the strategy at play here, because let's talk to you, because you were one of several that pitted during the safety car, and knowing then that turned it into a 3-stop race, you stopped on the way home. What was the difference between the pit stop behind the safety car as opposed to the green flag one? So the pit stop behind safety car was 4 tyres, fill the tank to the brim, and have the car as fresh as I could to finish off the run. And then knowing that I could splash and dash and just take left sides only. If we had to take a full tank, it's more than a left side and it's less than a right side, so it's a waste of time kind of thing. You lose time in the pits. So I just figured if I jumped in, because I was about P6, I knew a couple of guys in front of me may or may not, but I know if I jumped in, pretty much everyone behind me would have followed me in, so I didn't think I was going to lose any track position from pitting. Fair enough. I'll come back to you in a moment, mate. Adam Lavis, welcome to you. Give us a summation of your night, mate. You come home in ninth, only half a minute off the leaders there, and only a second behind Chris Whittaker. You were hunting him down in the closing stages. Adam, have we got you?
Yeah, sorry. I'm hard muted again for this because of the stream.
Fair enough.
I finally got a pitch strategy that actually worked for me. So I actually made some time up. That was great.
Yeah, exactly right. What was the strategy?
It was one of those things, like when the safety car came out, I knew it was going to be like too far to really stretch it. You'd be really going slow, saving fuel to do it, and I'm already slow enough as it is, so that was not the choice. So we did the pitting strategy, and some of the boys did the 2 stops in the safety car, and I thought that's a bit silly. I do the 4 tyres in the safety car, because then I can just do 2 in the green to save a bunch of time. And so I did that, and all of a sudden I was right back in the field.
And that's the thing, isn't it? Weighing up that risk v reward factor, and 4 tyres in the pit stop behind the safety car is always going to be a better move than having to do it during the transit of a green flag stop. So nicely played there, and thanks for getting the updated championship standings to us as well for production cars and stock cars. I'll get to that in a moment. We'll say goodbye to Chris Whittaker because he's leaving us at this point in time, but we'll look forward to catching up with him hopefully Monday night. And we continue on with the rest of the chat here. Jackson Rayhana, you're the only one that I haven't come to yet. Let's bring you into the chat. You're starting to get the hang of this stock car, Kate, but we had to basically plead for you to come and race them a couple of weeks ago, and now you're one of the first guys to sign up on the grid. 7th tonight. Are you happy with that?
Good evening, Zach. Mate, finished 7th last week. Stoked, finished 7th again, and this is probably the first round I've actually, somewhat taken it a bit seriously, and I've done some practice, and I think it paid off at some stages there. Like, Chris saying he didn't do any practice is like, maybe I've got a bit more to go, but I had some awesome battles there, and man, the caliber of driving in this category is just beyond anything I've ever driven, even in real life, to be honest. Just the driving standards are pretty excellent. I know I gave Brendan a little bit of a serve midway through the race there, and it was an accident. I didn't mean to. But yeah, like the cleanliness and just the risky moves, but they always seem to come off just because the people taking them You know, they know what they're doing. All these guys know what they're doing. So it's just excellent to be racing against this caliber of guys. So, and that makes it even better, you know, as a newbie to this category to be getting results, you know, in the top 10. It's really, really rewarding.
Interesting to have a look at the results here. Cal Watmore started second, finished first. Glenn Postlethwaite first on the grid, second in the race. Same for the second row. Michael Schreier went from 4th to 3rd. Hobbo went from 3rd back to 4th. The big mover, Ben Snell, from 12th up to 5th. Brendan Whitaker going from 5th back to 6th. Yourself from 9th up to 7th. Whitaker from 6th down to 8th. Adam Lavis from 10th up to 9th. Joe Baldwin from 13th up to 10th. The only real loser in terms of grid to race result, unfortunately, was Nick going from 7th down to 11th. And Julian Mucky from 15th up to 12th. Tim Weir from 11th down to 13th, and everyone else retired out of all that. Nick Windsor started 8th, but come home not classified. So too Jared Daly. Jackson, you're talking about the overtakes and everything else. Patience is a little bit of a virtue there, isn't it? A, these are longer races. B, they're harder cars to pull up. And C, as you say, there's that general camaraderie between your fellow competitors. Race hard, but race fair.
Exactly, and like these things, you know, it's overtaking is a whole different ball game, you know, compared to something like a GT car or like an open wheel. Like I've been doing a lot of open wheels this week, so jumping into this, that's kind of the reason why I did a lot of practice for this thing, just to get out of the open wheel mindset and get into something completely different, and, you know, still have some idea of how to drive it. And I'd never done really any laps of Watkins Glen before this week too, so I love the track, love this track combo, and I'm really starting to get you know, find a love for this stock car. It's it's probably the most rewarding car to drive in sim racing, or my version of sim racing at the moment.
For sure. I'll come back to you in a moment. Let's throw the conversation back to Nick, if I can. The competition caution, as we call it, because it's a lucky dip in terms of when it's thrown. It really threw the cat amongst the pigeons in terms of strategy tonight, didn't it?
Well, that's the idea. It was fun, though. You could see who was going to risk it, who wasn't going to risk it. So it was like coming down the back stretch, like you see on your screen here. You could you knew who had pitted, you knew who didn't. So you just had to go for it. It was good fun.
Oh, it certainly was. I wasn't surprised to see one person throw caution to the wind. That was Brenton Hobson. He did that last week. It worked last week. It didn't this week. When it came to Cal, I wasn't surprised to see one driver stay out, because Cal had already crunched the numbers and he would have known, just as we did, that there was going to be one more stop. But for the rest of you, it turned a 2-stop race into a 3-stop race like that.
Yeah, so it was right on, just on halfway. So it was going to be too long to do a single tank. But you know me, I like to stretch it out as best as I can, see how good I can do it. And so we knew we had a engineer / spotter / crew chief with us tonight. So he was keeping an eye on what was going on at the front, and he actually gave me feedback on what numbers I had to hit on my fuel, which I did all the way to the end of the race, and I just run out coming out of the last turn. So my only problem was I forgot that the pit lane was open again on the last lap of caution, and I saw Brenton pit in. I missed it.
Yep.
And I ended up doing it, I think, the lap after when we went green. So
yep.
It was a 25-second gap, which I got that about the same all the way through my stint to Brenton, because I was using him as a yardstick, obviously.
Yep.
I just kept hitting my numbers. We were doing roughly the same lap time, so it was unfortunate that I ran out coming out of the last corner, but my race was done by that point. I just, you know, the only way to advance up, I guess, is with this tough competition, is to try something different.
Well, I did see you chug along across the line. I thought that must have been what was the case, and you've confirmed that for us, so well done there. Cal, you would take confidence out of getting a win on a circuit that you love like Watkins Glen, especially now that we're going to a circuit that you won at on the last series of iRacing for the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, Phillip Island.
Yeah, definitely. Keen to have another go there, and hopefully keep our strong form. I wonder how Nick and the race control guys will spice it up with the random caution and that sort of thing. Hopefully a different challenge for us. Next week. Looking forward to it.
Indeed, the battle between yourself and Glenn Postlethwaite set to resume, and we're looking forward to that immensely. Paul Nichols, you watched most of that race with me. I would go so far as to say, okay, the fields have been rather disappointing this season in terms of size, but in terms of quality and entertainment, they keep delivering week in, week out, and that set the benchmark tonight. It's going to be hard to top that race as far as the season's concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. As my wife says, quality over quantity.
Come on, Nico.
It's what time is it?
Okay. 10 to 10. We'll let it slide.
There you go. Look, hats off to Cal Watmore. Fastest time, 1 minute 10.6. Started P2, finished P1. 9 incident points, but probably like 8 of those were after the race. So, a drive of the day, Cal Watmore.
For sure. I'll second that, although we need to give Brenton Hobson the nod for his drive in the production car race as well, 26.
Absolutely, yeah.
First. Nick, your thoughts on the night that was?
Well, you beat me to it, but Brenton in the first race done really well there to make his way up in the standings. But the guy that was just on screen as my pick for this race, Mr. Snell, we spent the first stint right behind him and Jackson, and it was bloody awesome to watch. I forgot I was in the race half the time.
We actually mentioned during the call that you had the best seat in the house.
Oh, it was awesome. I've never seen the car so sideways and still going forward. I think I saw his door number more than I saw the rear lights. But anyway, I give it to him in the final race there.
Benny, you certainly kept us entertained there, and your drifting skills certainly. I mean, you wouldn't look at a stock car and think, oh, he's a good drifting machine, but you've somehow turned it into one.
Oh, look, it's better when I do it on purpose, I'm going to be honest. When it happens by accident during the race, it's not quite as fun.
Going sideways is not fast, though, is it?
You could go back on my stream and you'll just hear shit, and okay, it's okay. Let's keep going. So it's definitely a couple of heart and mouth moments, that's for sure.
For sure, and apologies to anyone that took offence to those comments just then. But we've all been there, haven't we? Let's start to wrap this baby up. Benny, what's happening in South Australia as far as the real world stuff is concerned? Because Queensland roars back into life tomorrow.
Not too much at the moment. What do we got coming up? I think there's Malalaps, which is just open track stuff out of Malala. And we've got a bit of roll racing happening at the Bend at the moment. So other than that, not too much at the moment in terms of organised sport.
Fantastic. Of course, roll racing is a friend of ours in Keith Lewis in his organisation. Nice to know that they're still able to get to South Australia during the COVID times. They can't get to Western Australia, though, but at least they can get to South Australia. So that is good there. Cal Watmore, are you venturing out to check out some real race cars this weekend?
See how it go. Yeah, possibly that'd be cool. Is it on both days?
No, just tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, I'll do my best to get out there.
It's on pretty long. They're doing one day, so they'll be starting, I think, on track at 8:30.
Yep.
By my calculations from when I was doing the schedules, it looks like running till sort of like 6 or 7 at night, maybe. So you might be able to get in for the evening if you can get in the morning.
But if it was daylight saving, you'd go to kind of like 9 o'clock, couldn't you?
All right. Actually, can I just point this out? Can I just point this out? Because it is 9:53, and I feel as though I've held on long enough, right?
Are you going to swear, Zach?
No, I'm not going to swear, but I was watching... Okay, there are two things. I was watching the Formula E finale from Berlin this morning. That race started at 7 p.m. German time, in the middle of summer, so they observe daylight saving because they're intelligent. In broad daylight, right? So there's number one. We wouldn't know what broad daylight is past 6:45 at night, ever. So there is that. And two, the hypocrisy of the Queensland Premier last week. She came out and said, obnoxiously, as she does, in a glorifying example of, oh, it's okay when it's not our money, but when it's our money, we need to be careful. The second wave, if there ever is one here in Queensland, could cost the economy $4 billion. daylight saving, or the lack thereof, in Queensland cost them $4.35 billion a year, apparently, according to a survey released in 2013. So, I mean, take your pick. So there's an easy way to start injecting money back into the business and tourism sector, and it's observed daylight saving. But
yeah, kind of aligning yourself to the rest of the East Coast. There's an
exactly.
idea.
Try telling that to people that are stuck in the 20th century. Anyway, let's
19th century anyway.
Pretty much. Actually, see, when they switched off analog television here, I'm surprised there wasn't a similar protest, actually, for the same reason. All right. 56 minutes and 16 seconds to winning time for Cal Watmore tonight. Jackson Rayhana, you're obviously all guns blazing, ready for Monday night. Three completely different tracks next week, mate. Barber Motorsports Park, which we know we're all looking forward to, Virginia, and then, of course, Phillip Island.
Yeah, I love Barber. Had a pretty good round last time I was there, so look forward to it.
Indeed. I'm assuming that Nick Windsor's in here but not available because he's been muted all night long, so I assume he's probably already walked off after retiring out of the race at 16 laps from home. So bad luck to Nick, but thanks to all the other drivers for coming in to have a chat to us tonight. Let's run through some results. Let's run through some championship statistics because Adam Lavis has very kindly updated all of that for us. So we've got a fair bit of me talking for the next few minutes here, just as we wrap things up, and then we'll get some final thoughts from everyone in the chat room. Production cars. Brenton Hobson from Matt Stratford by 0.05 of a second. I'll say it again, 0.05 of a second. Closest finish we've had in terms of Dual Drift Esports Motorsport broadcast for the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Incredible stuff. Joe Baldwin, a well-deserved third place finish ahead of Ben Snell and Michael Schreier. So both Snell and Schreier featuring on the podium, and Hobson in both races tonight in terms of the top 5 or 6 positions there. So really well done to Ben Snell, Michael Schreier and Brenton Hobson featuring prominently at the pointy end in both fields. But that was the top 5 in the production car standings. The production car championship, Matt Stratford on top now, 225 to Michael Hammond, who didn't race tonight, 208. 192 for Simon Ferris, who had a good run. Rick, of course, racing alongside Jackson Rayhana. Rick Vincent, 186. Nick O'Pop is on 183. 161 for Jackson Rayhana, 151 for Jonathan Turner. 127 for Warwick Sharp, 124, I should say. I'm just having a little bit of trouble here. 124 with Ben Snell and 124 with Brenton Hobson. It doesn't help when you start to have a blink attack as soon as you're reading numbers off a screen. But that's the top 10 there. Brenton now equal 9th with Ben Snell, so 9th and 10th respectively. The stock car races we've detailed over the last short while, won by Cal Watmore by 10.84 seconds. Best winning margin of the season for Cal, for anyone, I think. Maybe Brenton got a bigger one on the Roval in Charlotte, but I'd have to go back and verify that. Comfortable win in the end over Glenn Postlethwaite, Michael Schreier, Brenton Hobson, Ben Snell, Brendan Whitaker, Jackson Rayhana, Chris Whitaker, Adam Lavis, and Joe Baldwin made up the top 10. Now, we should point out as well that that's the third different winner of the season now, with Cal Watmore getting the job done there. Glenn Postlethwaite with 3 wins, Brenton Hobson with 2 wins. It's reflected in the championship standings. They are 1, 2, and 3. Glenn Postlethwaite, once you take into the consideration the 2 drop rounds, it's 217 for Postlethwaite, it's 183 for Hobson, it's 178 for Watmore. So still a little bit of groundwork there, but at the moment it's real compelling viewing at the front of the field every Friday night right here on Dual Drift Esports. Michael Schreier in 4th on 157. 147 for Trent Lavis, despite missing the round tonight, remains in the top 5. Brendan Whitaker, 141. 139 for Nick, 135 for Adam Lavis, 134 for Chris Whitaker, and Jackson Rayhana's found himself into the top 10. Would you believe it already? On 131 points. Around the grounds tonight, the AFL not quite done yet, but Geelong comfortably home against Port Adelaide already. They're 8 goals up, 73 plays 25, but there's still about 5 minutes of play to go there. But nothing's beating the Cats tonight. Formidable against Port Adelaide, who are top of the table or thereabouts. So a real good bounce back from the Geelong Football Club. In the NRL, the earlier game won by Penrith, as we detailed, 18-12 over the Warriors. Now, interesting to note.
Sorry, Zach, just real quickly, wanted to thank JKKE for hosting the stream, bringing another 36 viewers along. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Beautiful.
The more the better. Well done.
The more the better on a Friday night. Now, Paul McGregor, of course, left his post at the St George Illawarra Dragons this week. They went out and won tonight, would you believe it, against Parramatta 14-12. Anytime Parramatta loses at the moment is a good sign.
How often does that happen, Zach, when you have a change of coach and the team comes out and goes, like, okay, we're going to show you how good we are?
Yeah, exactly. It's a shocker.
Might happen in Brisbane.
Yeah.
No, not at all. You would have to you'd have to feel for the coach in those circumstances.
Absolutely.
But, it happens more often than it should. MotoGP opening practice for the Austrian Grand Prix. Pol Espargaro on top, from Andrea Dovizioso to Taki Nakagami, Alex Rins, and Franco Morbidelli. Last week's winner, Brad Binder, was well down the order in 16th place, but how good to see KTM on top in MotoGP last week. Of course, we have flashbacks to 16 years ago and cheering on Casey Stoner in the 125cc ranks for KTM. So really good to see them doing good things in the Premier class. Formula One practice round, I think we're up to round 6 now. The Spanish Grand Prix, Bottas, Hamilton, Verstappen, Leclerc, and Vettel in practice 1. Daniel Ricciardo was well down the order in 18th position. The lap times, well, already fast, 1:16.7 for Bottas, and he was 0.039 clear of Hamilton. The A-League game tonight, actually, there wasn't one tonight, but there was one last night. The Jets getting the job done over the Phoenix. The season not far from done for the A-League. And in Super Rugby tonight, the New South Wales Waratahs 28-8 over the Western Force. I think that's everything in terms of what's happening in the world of sport tonight. Plenty happening, which is always a good thing, especially after not having anything to talk about between April and May, which is rather depressing for sports fans all around the world. Exciting times ahead as far as motorsport is concerned, obviously. Locally, don't get me started. Tomorrow, QR, $20 entry, kids 12 and under are free. That's all I'm going to say on that. Queensland Touring Cars, Queensland Production Cars headlining the action. Australian Trans Am, Queensland Sports Cars and Group N as well. As Rob said earlier, on track from 8:30am with qualifying, a 20-race program after that. So a very long day at the office for the hard-working, dedicated officials out there. And, the less said about that, the better.
Good to have a commentator out there, but anyway.
Sorry?
Good to have a commentator out there.
Would be if you knew what was going on. Yeah, so anyway, I'm not going to say anything more on that because, as I've already said to a couple of people today, the reason why I won't be there tomorrow is because I can't bite my tongue for 8 hours. There'd be too much blood streaming out of it. Now, as far as the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club is concerned, are the ladies having another crack on Tuesday night, Nico?
Absolutely, yeah. So, and Saturday we have our first Enduro race. So, Teams Enduro on Saturday. So, if you want to jump on board, look us up on Facebook. We have an endurance race, but Tuesday night we have the ladies race. So if you have a lady who wants to jump in and join the club, or if you join the club, the lady can join the ladies race on Tuesday nights. Bit of fun, good fun. Really
fun. The wags are getting serious.
I know, they're getting very serious. Like I can do
getting accounts and everything.
So Summit Point Classic, I can do normally about a 1 minute lap around there. The girls are doing 102, so well done, girls.
Yeah, they jumped up fast. They went
Absolutely.
Went from doing 104s and 106s last week. Now they're doing 102s and 104s, so they've improved very fast.
Yep, and the Enduro will be good to worth keeping an eye on tomorrow night as well. So keep your eyes peeled on all of that. As far as what we're broadcasting is concerned, well, tomorrow morning you can come and join me on West Bromwich Radio, as I said during the break between races there, 9 till midday. Local sport with the great man Anthony Bomber Breeze in the first hour on the weekend sports switch. And then, of course, at 10 a.m. we switch our attention to national and international sport, and there's plenty of that happening at the moment, including the taxis in Darwin this weekend. Now, on the back of all of that, we're actually also broadcasting some rugby league tomorrow afternoon, courtesy of some friends, some colleagues in Toowoomba at Power FM. They're broadcasting the game of the day in the Volunteers Cup, which is Ipswich against Toowoomba here. So that's between 4:30 and 7 if you want 7:30 if you want some rugby league action on a Saturday afternoon. You can tune into West Bromwich Radio for that. There is talk that if we need to, I might have to resurrect the old Ray Warren and get into the commentary box myself at some point later in the season. So we'll see how that goes. I haven't called rugby league for 12 years, but I do love it. As far as the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club is concerned, as we straighten up and talk about what's on Do a Drift Esports Motorsport, Monday night, round 7 GT series. Looking forward to this. Barber Motorsports Park, and then from there it's Imola, Suzuka and Bathurst to wrap things up. Critical stage of the championship for a number of drivers. and it could be a real defining week as far as the outright contest is concerned. Looking forward to seeing how all that plays out. It's been a real emphatic fight between Mercedes and also, of course, Ferrari and BMW to this point of the championship. Expect more of the same on Monday night, and Barber a great equaliser because we know what IndyCar can do around there, but GT racing a completely different kettle of fish. 45 minutes of racing plus qualifying in our broadcast Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Don't miss that. Wednesday night, 7:30 Eastern time. How good would the open wheelers at the Grand Prix of Detroit circuit in Belle Isle, Michigan on Wednesday night? We're going to get them off the street circuit this week, so it'll hopefully be a little bit cleaner, a little bit less chaotic. They're off to Virginia International Raceway. That's from 7:30, a 40-minute race, immediately followed by, at 8:40, the 40-minute race for the TCR and GT4 Championship, which is equally as entertaining, it's fair to say, especially what we're seeing at the front of the field there between Ben Luke and Michael Hammond as well. And then we look further ahead as far as the stock car and the production cars are concerned. We were talking about it. We finally come to the land down under next Friday night, the 21st of August, 2020. And that will be for a 45-minute race for the production cars, the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit
race.
TCR, yeah, that's important
fun.
because we've been chopping and changing cars throughout the season back to one that we really like, the TCR's next Friday night. So that'll be right up the alley of anyone that's been racing on the Wednesday night, as well as all these guys here on the Friday night, and that'll be good fun. The fact that it's Phillip Island means it's the same configuration for both races next week, unlike tonight, unlike last week as well. Stock cars will follow with an 8:15 start time there. And, of course, that's been pushed back in recent weeks to allow us a little bit more time to go from one race to the other, which is greatly appreciated from all and sundry. And, of course, Cal Watmore now on the charge back in the championship. Glenn Postlethwaite still the leader. Brenton Hobson's there. Three-way fight. If those three get together, it'll be well worth your time, and you'll enjoy what you watch. And hopefully you'll enjoy what we talk about and crap on with for 3.5 hours as well. Been a good night, fellas. Thank you so much.
Fun.
I think we've touched base with everyone as far as what they're up to over the weekend. Ben Snell, Cal Watmore, Jackson Rayhana. Any final thoughts from you guys?
Can we do that race again? That was fun.
Yeah, let's do that.
Repeat.
I want to go another round with Snelly. That was sick.
Yeah, that was actually a really great battle. I was thinking, I'm like, man, am I going to be stuck in 8th all race? And I was stuck behind Jackson. Yeah, it was great defending by Jackson, and I just got in with a sneaky fit strategy.
Beautiful. And of course, Cal, any final thoughts from you, mate?
Yeah, that was great fun. Thanks heaps to Doodrift team, Paul, Nick, Zach, Rob. Yeah, really appreciate it. And hey, you guys should go and beat some Americans in the ARCA cars. There's the hot tip. That's how I trained up for this race.
I was third in a race, but then I got drop kicked at turn 1. So
yeah, it happened. But, they're on every hour at 45 past the hour, 15 laps in a fixed setup, and then bloody good fun.
And Nick, nice to see in the end that the stock car race went a hell of a lot better for you, despite coughing across the line, than what the production car did, mate.
Yeah, look. Once again, I was aiming for no incidents, but I put paid to that in the bus stop.
Yeah.
But man, I had a great seat watching Jackson and Snelly, and then I got amongst it. Then Jackson had to go with Chris. I was watching that as well. If only I didn't have to wash my fuel, I would have had a bit of fun too. But it was all good. I enjoyed the shiza out of that. That was close.
That was very close. Paul Nichols, thank you to you. Not so much for winding me up like a jack in the box throughout the course of the night. I'm going to go and put myself back in the box. But thanks for your comments and your time in commentary throughout the course of the evening, mate. And unlucky in your production car race as well.
Yeah, it's okay. Grain of salt. It's okay. Like daylight savings coming up, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yes, just rub it in, why don't you? I've got to get into a debate with Queensland Health and make sure I can get across the bloody border at this stage. But see, the problem is there's an election coming up on October 31. So if that all goes to plan for them, the Labor Party trying to get re-elected here. And that's what it's all about, keeping the Queenslanders happy so they vote you back in, despite the fact that you've run the economy into the ground. They might open the border up. They might be a little bit generous for Christmas, but we'll wait and see
what happens,
on
mate.
that. Don't fall for the rubbish, folks. They were $90 billion in debt before coronavirus. So just remember that when you go to the polling booth on October 31. Amazing. We'll be allowed to go to the polling booth, but we, can't do so many other things yet.
Hey, there's an idea to that. I mean, how about electronic voting?
Well,
Jeez, that'd be an idea.
Wouldn't that be intelligent? Exactly right. Sorry,
Hey,
Rob,
guys,
you're going to try.
if I can just cut in as well, with everyone who's just tuned in, look, if you're interested, if you normally do some oval racing with these NASCARs, if you're over in the US, if you do want to try and give something like this a shot, feel free to message the page or message me on Twitch, and I can put you in contact with the club. I'm sure they're more than happy to get some people over if you want to try circuit racing some of these NASCARs. Or even getting into the production car racing. And, it'd be great if there's any of you who like to stream or anything like that who want to come along and jump in. That would be fantastic. Get a nice angle from there. So, just message the page and I'll put you in contact with the club.
And also, Rob, we probably look at maybe doing an oval series next season. So I think there's quite a bit of interest there. So we'll check it out.
USA versus Australia. Hey,
we might do some trucks. I love the trucks.
Yeah, we could. As long as the guys, I know it's early over there. As long as they're willing to get up and have some coffee and jump into a race with us, that would be a fantastic stream, I reckon. That would be really good.
I reckon, just on Paul's idea, I reckon you need a series similar to what you got for the up-and-comers, but for the pros, in that you have 3 weeks and then change cars. So you do 3 weeks in the trucks, 3 weeks in the stock cars, 3 weeks in the Indy cars, or something like that, and then bring it home with an all-in or something if you can arrange that. But I reckon that'll be fantastic. And I know there's a member vote coming up in a couple of weeks for one of the rounds here. I think it's round 9. Whether that's an oval or whether that's a road course like the Circuit Interlagos in Brazil that we haven't seen yet, I'm interested to find out which way the drivers vote there.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll let you know.
All right, fantastic. 6 rounds down.
Thanks,
More to go. Looking forward to more of the same when we reconvene on Monday night. And as Nico said, it's only 7 weeks before it all falls to what anyway. So we'll make the most of the time we've got with the Gentleman Sim Racing Club on Do a Drift Esports. Hope you've enjoyed the Friday night doubleheader. Brenton Hobson and Carl Watmore getting the W's in the 2 respective races. Watkins Glen delivered an absolute classic night of entertainment. We hope you've enjoyed all the action on your home of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club Motorsport. This is, of course, iRacing on Do a Drift Esports. And on behalf of Paul Nichols, Robert Hazeldine, Nico Pop, and the crew, I'm Zach Caban. We look forward to your company Monday from 8 when we head to Barber Motorsports Park. Until then, have a great weekend, everybody. From us here, it's bye for now.